Almost.
And welcome everybody to the Dave Knows Wrestling live stream. Of course, that's when everything works. Why wouldn't it?
That's the best opening we've ever. Well, we're never topping that.
Maybe it got cut off. Maybe.
Let's just.
Oh, that's what happened. The other one came on.
Gotcha.
Got jealous.
Yeah, let's just close down now. We're never beating that. We're not topping it. You should introduce yourself, though.
Yes, I am your host, David Lee, and this is my compadre.
Albert Albanese. I'm back from vacation. I might look tanner, so that's good.
Does he? Does he look tanner later?
I think so. I've been told I do.
We'll be bringing the chat up momentarily whenever it decides to work.
Yeah, we're having computer issues. We've been experiencing that for the past couple of minutes, and
same thing that happened on Friday. And actually, I'm gonna have to. I don't want to, but I feel like I have to because that's the other thing about this camera. I need to adjust the light.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Hold on.
You get an up close and personal view of Dave's fingers here, so that's fun.
Everybody's dream. Nope, didn't work. Okay, great.
No, I actually made it worse.
Yeah, I actually did.
All right. I think we're a little bit better now.
Okay, yeah. So back to like first day stuff. Okay, awesome.
So guys, you're just experiencing the growing pains of trying to use new equipment.
Yes, you're experiencing a total confusion of. It's like the first time we've ever done this. For all you know, we're imposters, just pretending.
Right. These are actually not our actual bodies.
Yeah, you guys might have remembered on Friday I was a little behind because I was doing the same thing. I was trying to get some things done, but didn't exactly turn out the way I wanted to. So I think I gotta just leave well enough alone. I think I need to learn that. Apparently that's a lesson I don't learn. And I don't know why this thing is going so slowly right now. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, you also guys, you got to understand too that we're trying to figure out ways to better everything that we're doing, like the new videos that I'm posting, which is a little bit different of, what I usually do, and Dave trying to experiment with new equipment. The idea is to try to bring you guys something new, something exciting, something different, something you haven't seen before every time we're doing something, and these are just you're experiencing the growing pains right now.
Yeah. But while we're doing that, how about you tell us about your channel, Albert, and get off your phone.
I'm going into the chat.
We'll get onto the chat in a moment. Talk about your channel.
All right, well, that's fine. I was just trying to help out, but
I will do that.
Fine. Oh, all right.
No, I won't do that.
Oh, exactly.
I just wanted to make sure it was running, which it is.
Hold on. Let's...
Well, anyway, tell everyone about your channel.
Okay, fine. So, obviously, Slam Sessions Network on YouTube. Guys, I'm getting closer and closer to 100 subscribers, so please, if you would give me a subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. I'd feel great about it, and you would feel great about it because you'd be helping me out. But besides that...
And even if you don't feel great about that, do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you hate me, you can hate watch me. I know a lot of people probably do.
In fact, that might be the only thing people do.
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, I would assume that that's the case.
Yeah, maybe like 3 people. 3 people.
3 people might like me.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe.
But... So,
I like you, buddy.
Well, thank you, Dave. But anyway, so the newest video I put up, it's called Ripping the Net, and it's just all about me ripping into people talking about stupid things on the internet and making stupid comments on the internet. So the catchphrase to that is, don't feed the trolls, just send them to me. So if you guys ever see a stupid comment, please get to my Facebook and let me know.
Oh, okay. So finally,
here we go.
So Arthur says, "Homie and the hater." Dave, Bray Wyatt is amazing. Okay. Hello, Dave and Albert. My wallet fell out of my pocket. I don't know where it is.
Ooh, true sinister. I am so sorry for you. I hope that you find somebody who is honest and gives you your stuff back without taking stuff.
Hey, Jesus Ferro. I personally have been, like, unless it's an exorbitant amount of money, but if that's the case, I kind of don't expect anything. But normally I feel like if someone finds your wallet and they take the cash, well, that's like the finder's fee. Like, that's kind of like, if you have $8 in your pocket, well, the $8 now belongs to that person for having to mail it to you.
But you got everything else.
Right.
Yeah,
as long as they
fair.
don't touch anything else. That's kind of the way I feel about it.
Albert's the coolest bald man I know. Thank you. I'm not fully bald, but I'm getting there.
Speaking of which, there's somebody talking about the inevitable. Let's just get this out of the way because I'm sure we're going to get into this argument.
What, you mean...
the inevitability that Baron Corbin is going to be the king of the ring.
You mean King Gable?
That's not going to happen.
I hope it does.
Yeah. So do I, but it's not going to. Yeah, so we have to move forward in the chat because we're very behind, but we can read everything now. Thank you so much, Harry Flynn. It was really, really fun being a part of that mega collab, and also I was very flattered to just be asked to be part of it as well because it's a huge collab, and there's like Pachidi on there, Ollie Davis, like so many guys are on there. Brian Zane, of course, as you guys know. So being a part of that pantheon, and of course Christian, I'm not going to deny that. Of course Christian as well. Huge following, huge names, and yet I'm on the show, and I was like, what am I doing here? So I'm always flattered whenever there's somebody.
Oh, please, Dave, you're our hero.
Like I said, I was on there with Cultaholic and Wrestling Regret, of course, Brian Zane. I mean, but you guys know I've been with him before, but then it's like Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk, always big. Not to mention plenty of other names, all the laundry list of names on there. And Christian did a great job of organizing that because he wanted to do a big collab, and I'm glad he put a lot of work into it. So I'm not going to front. He definitely earns a lot of credit for that. What did you guys think of Clash of Champions? It was meh for me.
It was okay.
Maybe I could be in Zinley for maybe, man. You never know. Hey, thank you, Jesus, and thank you because hey, your support always means the world to me, as I think you know. AJ Envoy, what's up? Long time no see. How you doing? Didn't think he's talking to you, but I talked to him on Friday.
I'm doing pretty good. Just got back from Bermuda a couple of days ago, and I feel re-energized.
The oddest thing is, Monday we weren't on last Monday, and it was an MSG, and you'd think it because of that, but it wasn't. It actually just coincidentally was not.
Neither of us were at the show.
I thought about it, but then I was like, nah.
So here's the thing. First of all, I actually went and looked at tickets, and then I realized I can't afford these. These are ridiculous. And then I further realized I'm not going to be in the country. Right. So that really didn't help.
Baker Moody, they changed it. They postponed it till tonight instead. They realized the card is pretty full since it's Clash of Champions and every belt's got to be on the line. I guess they realized, hey, we have a lot of belts, so we got to clear some of this out. Hey, what about Roman Reigns, Eric Rowan? Oh, we can't put that on the pre-show or nothing.
No, absolutely not. It was a big deal. That's a big angle that they're running.
The reveal. I heard rumor has it that there was a chance it was going to be the main event, but
I heard that rumor too, and I'm glad that they actually dispelled that because
it is Clash of Champs. Like if it was a different pay-per-view, it'd be one thing, but
right.
It's like
because it is. Look, it's the bigger story. I mean, I know I'm going to give this as an example, and you're going to crap all over it because your boy is in the main is the guy I'm talking about. But was it the Ground Zero pay-per-view? It was Bret Hart versus the Patriot for the world title, and Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels was in the main event. But it made sense for Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels to be in the main event. They were the two bigger stars. The Patriot was just there because he was doing the USA versus Canada gimmick. So that makes sense. It's not a bad thing. The world title is in the main event every single time, but it really should. I would say 99% of the time.
It should. Yeah, I know. No, I didn't think Ice-T? I didn't think that was going to be in the pre-show. I knew there was no chance of it being in the pre-show. But it is weird when you have AJ Styles in the pre-show on Clash of Champions when he has a title.
Yeah.
But Roman Reigns is not. Or the women's tag match. I mean, come on, that could have been in the pre-show.
I think that they put the women's tag match on the pre-show last time. I think they wanted to give them the shine and put them on the pay-per-view. And look, the thing is that we got 3 women's matches on the card, and I thought that was good. It's a step in the right direction.
Sure.
And your girl was on the main card. You should have been happy.
Like I said, I don't care. Like again, don't get it twisted. I don't care about if she wrestles, if she gets pushed. I just like getting to see her. That's really all I care about. I hope well and success in her career. Don't get me wrong. I'm not rooting against it, but it's just not my primary focus.
I gotta say, she is a great Instagram follow. Just adorableness all around.
Only get 5 minutes. Why did AJ and Cedric only get 5 minutes? Because pre-show.
I heard a lot of people talking about how, they buried Cedric Alexander last night. No, they didn't. It was a short match. People are allowed to have short matches. Like, I don't understand why everybody thinks that every time somebody loses, they get buried. The guy's on a
$15 super chat from my man, Jesus Farrow. Thank you so much, Jesus Farrow, Patreon supporter. And on top of that, a $15 super chat. You're a man. Dude, you have consistently been so supportive of the channel. And I also feel like you somehow, sometimes know when the channel or something is like in despo need. There's like, there's always the desire for support. But then there's times where it's like, oh man, this is a rough spot. And it's like you somehow, I think you psychically know because you tend to show even more support than you already do. You always show support, but you're more generous on like times like these. So it's like I think I think we're on the same way. Like, so seriously, thank you so much, Jesus Farrow.
Yeah, Andy. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see you. And AJ, I'm completely in agreement with you. I'm sure they're gonna have a longer match at one point too. The idea of pushing someone doesn't mean that they're gonna come out and just win every match. He's allowed to lose and to bigger stars, but he also has wins over Styles. He also has wins over Drew McIntyre. They're giving him.
Wow, Drew McIntyre, big win.
But he's positioned at the top of the card. Whether or not he wins or loses, yes, absolutely. I mean, all right, so he lost in the King of the Ring.
Drew McIntyre means the win over Drew. I like Drew McIntyre. I'm not knocking Drew McIntyre. I'm just saying at this point, a win over him means nothing. It's like saying, I beat Dolph Ziggler. Yay. Maybe not that bad, maybe not that bad.
Still beat a former world champion if you beat Ziggler.
But you get my point.
I get you.
Drew means nothing.
But my point is that they're building him. They're giving him wins over guys that are perceived as top guys in order to make sure that they can, they can build him in the right way. I don't think that he was de-pushed.
I think having the U.S. belt on the pre-show was a rough move, but it's the U.S. title, and no one cares about that belt, and they haven't done anything good with that belt in a while, so it doesn't matter anyway. Aside from AJ winning, thanks, that means a lot, and you're very welcome. No, thank you, buddy. While enjoying Cornette's history and insight on Years Refined, I find his rants annoying, and they can be quite close-minded on several topics. And speaking of the anti-Muslim thing, which I find interesting, like, I just want to get on a side note around. If I'm incorrect, let me know. But I believe there was a woman who worked on the show for Cornette, and then she quit, right? Because of those.
I believe so. I believe that's what I heard.
I'm not mistaken. But what I found weird is Cornette has gone on anti-Christian rants before, and she didn't quit over that. So if you're going to be offended by someone knocking, and she said herself, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she said that she wasn't a Muslim herself. She just doesn't like people making fun of other people's religions or something like that. But I was like, he's been doing that for other religions. How come you? It's just a curiosity I've noticed. That I notice. I just like a little bit of consistency. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. Cornette's closed mind on certain topics. Yeah, and there's things he goes off on a lot that maybe converts. But for me personally, I've taken pride on the ability to find wisdom in people or be able to listen to people and like people that I don't agree with on things. I think that's a valuable skill in humanity that a lot of people lose. So it's like, hey, I don't like this guy's politics. I think he's an idiot. Well, it's like, how about you just listen to him anyway? It's like, I don't agree with half the things he says, but yeah, he's here all the time.
Exactly. That's a good point.
But
look, people are allowed to say things that you might not agree with,
or might even hurt your feelings.
Right, but you can still be friends. There's no reason that.
Yeah.
Jesus, we obviously, Dave appreciates your support, and yeah, I mean, if you think my channel is good, then thank you, because I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. I'm trying to build up I'm trying to build up my own channel, so it's nice to hear that. Right. Thank you.
Vinny Montana, the U.S. belt was the workhorse belt. That's what I think.
I mean, it still technically is. It still technically is. Name a guy who's won that title, recently that really hasn't been the workhorse.
Rey Mysterio. He's no. At the time while he is holding it.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'll give you that. But I mean, he had it for a month.
He was a part-timer.
All right.
Chris Jericho, same thing. The workhorse guy.
Hey.
Yeah, look, and I'm not knocking these guys. I like them. I'm just pointing out if you want.
You're talking about the very first AEW
who's
champion.
Who's Mr. No Days Off in WWE? And besides, the real workhorse belt for WWE is the IC belt, anyway.
Dave, you keep talking about Jericho like that. I'm going to give you a little bit of the bubbly, but not in a good way.
Please stop. I hate that meme so much. I mean, I hate memes in general.
The man.
I don't get it. I do not get it. Why is that funny? I don't get it.
Have you seen the videos?
Yes.
Great.
No, they're not. No,
Especially,
no,
I'm actually even past the little bit of the bubbly part, but I do like the fact that they're using the ooh part of it, which I think is even better.
No.
I think it's great.
Maybe I'm too old to understand this, but yeah, no. But yeah, okay. But I do want to get on this. So, guys, as we point out often, we're not physically watching Raw right now. Let us know what's going on, and let me enjoy these somber moments before, at least I'm assuming before Corbin Dum Dum unfortunately ruins the King of the Ring and makes me desire not wanting to see it back. It makes me regret seeing it back. And I'm willing to bet you think this is a good thing. I'm going to get some water. Talk about that.
All right, so I mean, if you want to talk about that, I just want to throw this out there. I don't think it is. I just don't want Dave to know it. I just think it should be Gable. It should be a guy who's a workhorse. I was mad when Regal won it actually because I thought Punk should have won it, but that's just me. Albert and Dave, who do you think was the best talker in ECW? I have Raven and Shane Douglas as the number one guys. Raven. And if I wasn't clear, Raven.
Baron Corbin is not fun in wrestling. I'm sorry. But yeah, so Jim Cornette. So we're going back on the ECW. Well, okay. One major thing I have brought up on several occasions is that I think Jim Cornette is very close-minded when it comes to ECW.
Yes, I think a lot of people are. I think Bruce Pritchard is. I think that Jim Cornette is. I think a lot of people who are who weren't there and didn't get it then don't get it now.
Yeah, because I don't think he even watched it because again,
I don't think so either.
If you say all it is hardcore crap wrestling, well, you missed out on the plethora of real wrestling that was in ECW.
I mean,
and that's beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so it's like if you criticize it for that, you're missing out because you clearly didn't watch it.
Base Up, what's going on, man?
Base Up is here.
That's awesome.
What are we talking about Raven for?
Someone asked who they thought the best talker in ECW ever was, and Raven.
Yeah,
Raven.
I feel
Raven. He said Raven and Shane Douglas were 1 and 2 for him.
That's fair.
I'm fine with that, but Raven. Yeah, Jesus, I really appreciate you just checking it out and supporting. And I really am trying to, do some different things other than, I think for a little while, I think I was maybe doing a little bit more of I'm just going to do Dave's show, but do it my own way. And now I think I'm just branching out and just doing what I think I've really always wanted to do, which was, just yell at you, Marks.
Yeah, just wants to be wrong. So, yeah.
I'm never wrong.
I don't like it.
Whoa,
as AEW champion either, Harry.
You guys are both crazy.
Should not have gone to an old WW guy. Should have went to the next generation. That's just the way it goes.
Dave, this is you know how to build stars. You don't build a star by just slapping a belt on him and going, "Oh, here you go."
No, but you don't give it to a 50-year-old. You don't give the belt to a 50-year-old.
I'm sorry. Name one guy in AEW right now who has
Kenny Omega.
a tenth of the television experience
Doesn't
that
matter.
Chris Jericho has.
Doesn't matter. I'm not telling you to keep Jericho off TV, but you don't need to give him. He doesn't need to be the. He doesn't.
You
need
want
the
prestige for that title? That's the prestige for it.
Kenny Omega was the answer.
Kenny Omega is not the answer. Kenny Omega being on the chase is the answer. No. Kenny Omega, headlining and winning it at the first big pay-per-view that they have after they were established is good. Giving it to him right now is just saying, okay, this is yours, and this whole company is now yours. You're the man to beat, and he becomes the Roman Reigns of AEW.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Absolutely not. There is no way if he's the first champion, the fans turn on him that fast.
I'm not saying they're going to turn on him that fast, but tell me he's not going to be the guy who's going to be in the main event of almost every single pay-per-view from there on out.
He should be. And he absolutely should be.
You can't say he should be, and then criticize the WWE for doing something like that. Because you criticize the WWE for doing that with Reigns.
Because Reigns is not nearly as over as Kenny Omega is.
I think you're overblowing the idea of Kenny Omega being over. Because remember, Kenny Omega is known by a lot of people as a guy who wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He hasn't a carbon footprint in the U.S. since Deep South.
In AEW's fan base, he is the guy for those exact reasons. He is the guy. That's all there is to it. And not only that, he beat Jericho in New Japan. It's also
Thank
weird.
you, AJ Envoy.
What did AJ say?
He agrees with me.
Not at all. Like
And so does Ben Espinosa.
We want to avoid TNA syndrome where they back up old WWE guys.
But they're not. They're not. They give
they
by
may
giving
not,
them
they may not go
by
forward,
giving
but
him
this is not a
one
good
world.
start.
So now here's the thing. What happens if? All right, so Jericho wins the first championship, right? Now what happens if he loses to Cody, and then now it's the next WWE guy?
Yeah, I know that.
And then what happens if?
That up.
Then what happens if Cody holds the belt for like 6 months and loses it to Moxley?
That's not good either.
Why is it? But those are their top stars. It just so happens they came from a different organization.
No, you
and
believe they're their top stars because they came from that organization. And I understand the mentality.
And Kenny Omega's the other one.
I understand.
If there's 4 guys right now, you're saying who's the AEW's Mount Rushmore? It's Jericho, Moxley, Cody, and Kenny Omega. It just so happens 3 of those guys used to work for the competition.
Well, last I checked, you don't build Mount Rushmore in 1776, so that's a weird comparison to go by, but okay.
Differences.
They just started. They can't have a Mount Rushmore in the first year. That's why
I'm just saying. You want it? Fine. Just name their 4 top draws.
Their top 4 draws: Cody, Kenny, and the Bucks.
Pull. I know a lot of people who are very excited about AEW who have never seen the Young Bucks wrestle.
I'll slide. Jericho is up there, and so is Moxley, but I don't know. Like, look, I understand to mainstream people or mainstream wrestling fans or just WWE fans, those are the most obvious picks. But the people who are bashing AEW the most are the guys who want to see, who would view those guys as the top stars.
I'm not bashing them.
I'm not saying you are, but the AEW loyalists don't care a lot about Chris Jericho or Jon Moxley, and they care about Jon Moxley when he bashes WWE. The hype for AEW. Let's put it this way: before Chris Jericho was announced, before Jon Moxley showed up, were these AEW fans already all in for the company? Yes, and they were all in based off of which stars? Cody, Omega, the Young Bucks.
That all in wasn't an AEW show.
I know.
So that doesn't count.
But that's their fan base. Is what
Oh,
I'm saying.
fine, that's their fan base.
But what
did they do? But what did they do? They held a press conference announcing AEW was going to be a company, and who was the last person at that press conference? It was Chris effing Jericho, because he lends legitimacy to a brand. He's a former multiple-time heavyweight champion. He's the champion everywhere he's ever gone.
I'm not denying that he has no value, but it's the same thing. Like let's say Jericho wasn't there and Goldberg was there. Goldberg is the star. There's no denying that.
Different.
And you put the belt on. Why?
Different.
Why?
Because Goldberg is not the same kind of worker that these guys are looking for. But it's a different story. And now, if you would have said if it wasn't Jericho and let's say the roles were reversed and Moxley was there,
yeah,
same thing. I mean, not as much, doesn't lend that much. You're right. That's a hard sell. So let's just say AJ Styles then.
Look, I'll put it this way.
AJ Styles is a good example.
Sure.
It's the same thing, but if you put the belt on AJ Styles, why not? He was a former TNA champion, he's a former WWE champion.
Well, because he's more of a journeyman. He's not so synonymous with one brand.
Yeah, Jericho's been in the big 3 organizations. Yes, I know. He had a short stint in ECW. Yes, because he just spent more time there because that company wound up winning.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they did more for him.
No, that too.
The point is, to avoid, as I said, TNA syndrome, and I get the idea, like you said, well, what's wrong with if Jericho passes it to Cody and then passes it to Moxley, because then they become TNA again. That's the number one thing we want to avoid here.
But they're not doing that.
If that happens. You asked me if that happens.
And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
That's a problem.
But you know they're not going to do that because you know the mistakes that were made before.
And to be fair, Chris Jericho, I would have no problem if he was the first if he was younger. His age is seriously... Look at his body. Like,
yeah, he doesn't look that good, but that match against... was fine. So then what? You can rip into Chris Jericho because he's older and he looks a little bit chubby? What about Kevin Owens? Like, I can still go in the ring. So can Jericho. Just because he looks a certain way doesn't mean that...
Jericho can't go like he used to. That's my point.
Sure.
As I said,
not 100%, but he's still better than half the other guys in the world.
If this was 10 years ago, I'd probably be a lot better. I'd be more okay with Jericho.
Age is a bullshit thing in wrestling. I'm sorry. I hate hearing that excuse. Oh, he's 50-something years old. That's fine. Guess what? Most of the people that work really well were still good into their 50s. Flair was still main eventing pay-per-views into his 50s. Your boy Hulk Hogan was still main eventing pay-per-views into his 50s.
And that should have happened?
And Jericho's a 10 times better worker than both of them were at that age.
No. So Hogan and Flair were supposed to main event in their 50s?
I'm not saying
No.
I'm not. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they were supposed to. I'm saying it's been done before, and most people even say,
Vinny Montana coming in hot.
That Moxley's the next guy?
No. He's got a point there.
I wouldn't want to take it either.
No, there's certain moves he can botch a little now. He's a little spotty.
I wouldn't want to take that move if you paid me. That is a danger, and that's the thing. Just if Moxley would have came to WWE, I guarantee he'd have a different finisher. It's the same. That's a high impact on the back of the neck and the back of your head. I don't blame Jericho for not wanting to take it. But also remember, you talk about, Jericho didn't want to take it, doesn't want to take it, or took it wrong. He's the guy who got AJ Styles allowed to do the Styles Clash in WWE.
Okay. As I said, I'm not saying Jericho has no value. It's that giving him the belt does not mean
it lends legitimacy to a brand that has never had a world champion before. When you sit there and you say, look, and this is my example. If I sat there and said, hey, Dave, I know you haven't watched wrestling in a few years, but there's this new company. They're starting in October on TNN. It's called AEW. And you said, Albert, that sounds cool. Who's their world champion? And I said, Adam Page. What would you say to me? Who the hell is Adam Page?
I get it.
But I say their world champion is Chris Jericho. You'd sit there and go, I know who Chris Jericho is.
Okay.
Who else is there?
Let me put it further. Everything about people keep trying to use AEW in traditional context.
Thank you, Baker Moody. Thank you.
What Baker Moody said. Geez, Jericho looks out of shape, but he's still. I'm not saying he's a bad worker. My point of the matter is, being the first world champion, it was not necessary for him, and I don't. At this juncture in his life, I don't think it was the right move. Because, and let's put it this way. Now there's twofold. Now, one, let's point out to the beginning of WWE's very, very start. Sure, things worked out pretty well for them. But do we remember who their first champion of all time was? Buddy Rogers, who was old, retired after a month because of a heart attack. And then they gave the belt to Bruno Sammartino. They should have just given the belt to Bruno straight off the bat.
No, because
I get it. Buddy
it lends
Rogers
legitimacy.
I get it, but it was
to Sammartino for beating a guy of that caliber.
1 month when the guy was in poor health.
Agreed.
Was a waste of time.
Agreed.
It was a complete waste of time.
I'm not 100% disagreeing, but that's not who Jericho is. It's not like
he's not. No, knock wood, he's fine. But
exactly
saying,
my point.
Because back then, 39 was like a senior citizen.
Yeah, seriously.
But it's like, my point is, this guy wasn't waning health.
No, Harry. It's not that Jericho doesn't need the belt. If you want to talk about anybody who doesn't need the belt, if you're talking about how big they are and how great they are, then it is Omega. Because if Kenny Omega's this big, great guy that everybody's paying to see, he doesn't need the title.
No. First of all, I don't like the idea that someone doesn't need the belt because I agree that the man makes the mantle, not the other way around. However, so I don't necessarily agree with that.
I agree. I hate that.
But I do agree that Jericho doesn't need it more than Omega doesn't need it. Jericho is a well more established champion than Kenny Omega.
Right, and if this was AEW's year 3 and Chris Jericho came in, sure, he wouldn't need the belt. But this is AEW's start. And you need to put the belt on a strong champion.
Now, and to really clarify this, WWE gave Buddy Rogers the belt because they thought he was screwed in NWA. They gave him the belt because they thought he was screwed. And I don't think they knew his health problems were getting where they were. But the point of the matter is, you gave this guy the belt. The WWE.
I agree 100%, AJ Envoy. 100%.
WWE was not built on the back of Buddy Rogers as much as the history books may show that. It
wasn't.
Off of Bruno Sammartino. Period. Was he as established? No. But WWE is the house that Bruno Sammartino built. Period.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you at all.
And that's my point.
But
they need to give the belt to their Bruno, not to their Buddy Rogers, is what I'm saying.
It's the first title run.
And that's what I'm talking about.
And it's
that's exactly what I'm
talking about. But the thing is that it lends legitimacy to a new championship if a established worker holds it. Oh, you're not going to approve Base Up's comment? Because I completely agree.
I will. What did he say? Oh, that was my other point. A lot of people, including yourself, are viewing AEW and saying they got to market themselves or do it from traditional wrestling standpoint, and it doesn't work that way. And I don't think that's what you guys are getting. And there's a lot of people.
Thank you, Baker Moody. Thank you.
What's that?
He said it's another feather in his cap. Jericho is a living legend, and his star power coming from his runs in so many other promotions gives legitimacy and almost an automatic star power to AEW from the get-go. Exactly. And that's the guy you put your belt on.
No, star power, he just being there, he gives star power to the ring. You don't need to give him the title to siphon off Jericho's star power. Legitimacy to the title, I'm sorry, giving it to a 50-year-old doesn't help your case.
Thank you, EJK. Thank you. So now, let me ask you a question. Let's just say he's 42 now. So let's just say in 8 years, AJ Styles is still in that same shape. He's still wrestling. He's still...
Okay.
I'm just saying. Let's just say.
No, you don't give it to AJ Styles either.
But you wouldn't put the WWE World title on AJ Styles.
No.
Because he's 50?
Yes.
If the guy can still go, that's all that matters.
Perfect example. He's in his 50s, looks like $1 million, can still go, very entertaining. R-Truth. Don't give him the title. Sorry.
R-Truth was never a world title contender.
Capital punishment.
He got a world title shot. That doesn't mean he was a contender.
Yes, actually, that is what a contender means.
He wasn't a legitimate threat to that championship. How's that? Is that better?
Forget about his build in his career. I'm just pointing out that as good as he looks, as good as he could go, you don't give him the title. I'm sorry.
Why not?
Because
Why not?
He's 50.
Who cares? If he can still go, that's all that
Just
matters.
like why you don't give Goldberg the title off of Kevin Owens, because he's 50 and Kevin Owens is not.
You don't give the title to Goldberg because he was a part-timer and doesn't work there a full-time schedule. The same reason you don't give it to Brock Lesnar.
But if Goldberg I'm trying to think if there's any 50-year-old ever that I would give the title to, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no. I can't think of one.
Then you're just ageist. Right, there you go.
suppose
Terry Funk won the ECW title, and he was definitely 50 at that point. He was probably 70 at that point, actually.
And no, I mean, don't get me wrong, it worked
Again,
out well, but no.
lended legitimacy to that championship. The former multiple-time NWA heavyweight champion winning the ECW championship made it more of a legitimate championship than a guy like Shane Douglas, who was the first ever world heavyweight champion and didn't have the backing that Terry Funk did.
Thank you, Kendall Taylor. Taylor made, my man. I will say Y2J having as champ is good for AEW, but Y2J losing the AEW title to someone finding it on the side that is very true. That does not help. That was a very bad look for AEW. The Rock Dave won the title and that's different. 40s is still fine, but 50, let's really put it in perspective. You can qualify as a senior citizen at 55, so you're 5 years off from being a senior citizen. I mean,
so what?
Yeah, that's a problem.
So what? I don't think that makes a difference.
Okay, but fine. Let's just say the number does not matter. Let's just put a pin in that for a minute. It still goes back to, I understand the idea of trying to add legitimacy by giving it to someone who has a well-established career. But as I pointed out with WWE and Bruno Sammartino, that's not what it's made about. You're starting something new, you give it to somebody new, or new-ish. You give it to a quasi-established guy. You don't give it to a legend. You give it to the guy who's current, not the guy who's in the past. Because he's
not in the past, though.
His career.
Sure.
Jericho's career is winding down.
Sure.
There's only so many years he's got left.
Sure, but here's the thing. It's the same thing as the Undertaker. The Undertaker comes back.
I wouldn't give the Undertaker the belt
I'm
either.
not saying that, but the Undertaker comes back, people watch. It's the same thing. Jericho doesn't have to wrestle a full-time schedule, but when he comes back, people will watch, and he'll be that guy in AEW.
Okay, here's a better question. Here's a question for you. Where does this go from here? Because what's the next plot for this?
By the way, Richard Lee, I stole the AEW championship. Just throwing that out there. It was me.
So the question is, where do we go from here? And also, Jericho's a heel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not 100% sure on that.
He is.
And given this scenario, him versus Adam Page, I get it that Jericho was going to win. I thought Page should have won.
I didn't think so at all.
I didn't want it to be Page. I wanted it to be Omega, but Page ain't there yet. And I'm first to admit that.
Yep, agreed.
But it's a good mile marker template. Where do we go from here from Chris Jericho? What's the next feud?
I think he beats Cody.
No. Okay. Well, who does he drop to?
And then I think that he eventually either drops the belt to either A, Kenny Omega.
Problematic because he already beat Kenny Omega, but fine.
Why is that problematic? No more contenders. I mean,
they'll have the rubber match, but I do think it hurt them having Kenny Omega lose.
I think it was a smart thing. And AJ Envoy keeps bringing this up.
Yeah.
Because AJ Envoy keeps saying that if Kenny Omega is, and Kenny Omega is not the champion, and he's better in the chase. Because everybody wants to see him win the title. So when Kenny Omega does finally win that championship, it's going to be a big deal. But by putting Jericho, and it's the same thing with Adam Page. Adam Page winning the championship when he first starts. Does it make him?
Page is better on the chase,
But he
Kenny
needs
is
to be on the
negligible.
chase. I don't think so. I think Kenny Omega is another one.
Kenny's run in New Japan was flat. I'm not denying that.
Yes.
But it was flat.
But his chase was great. His chase was what everybody wanted to see. And when he lost to Okada in those matches, everybody was like, I can't believe they didn't finally put the belt on Kenny. I can't believe they didn't put the belt on Kenny. And then they did, and it was huge.
But that's exactly why. It was big just because everyone expected Kenny to get it, and you were surprised that they didn't give it to him.
It's the same thing with the AEW Championship. When they announced the 4 guys who were going to be in that match, everybody thought it was going to be Omega in the finals.
The other problem is it fell flat because it built up so much. It was whatever his run was going to be wasn't going to live up to it anyway. Like the hype behind Omega's run, there was no chance he lives up to it, no matter what. And they didn't let him do Tanahashi earlier, and plus he left. So maybe if he wasn't planning on leaving, and if it wasn't for the fact that they knew he was leaving, he would have gotten a better feud. He would have gotten a better set. Maybe we would have seen more from Kenny Omega on that front. So you can't blame the run on Kenny Omega because there's multiple factors leading to his anticlimactic run. But but that's the other fear I'm worrying about. If Kenny's on the chase too long, when they finally get him, it's going to be the same thing. No one's going to care. And why would they?
No, it's different this time because Kenny's staying, and he's not going to lose the title immediately after he wins it.
Yeah, but the other problem that Kenny's going to have with taking the belt is Kenny's now a face, which I don't think is the best idea. I think it's
no. Is he a face? Because I don't know.
I think he is.
Is he? Because I can't freaking tell in AEW.
I understand that Dean is a face too.
Is he?
I think so.
I don't know either.
But Kenny definitely got victimized. Like Dean drew first blood. And he right,
and then Kenny came back at him. I get that.
So I think that makes him the good guy, even if Dean's not a heel. I still think Kenny showed no sign of being an aggressor or a bad guy. Is my point.
Hey Tim, look,
he's not even as cocky as he used to be. But the other
based up, I completely agree, and I like him. I like him a lot, but I completely agree. It's just every time the guy gets a championship, it seems like he falls flat. And that's
every time? What other time?
Junior Heavyweight Championship run, IC title reign, US title reign,
IC title reign I disagree with. That's ridiculous. Was he Nakamura? No. And that US title reign, that US belt sucks.
I mean, I like the idea of it. I like that he was the first champion, and that was it.
Too many belts.
I know you're not a belt guy. I mean, EJK, yes and no. I mean, if that was the case, Pac might have been the guy to actually win the belt.
I don't think it should have been Pac either. So.
I don't think it should have been either. He wasn't, and that's the thing. It's all about perception. At least with Kenny Omega, John Moxley, if you put a world title on either one of them, even Cody, the last big title that Cody held was besides the US title was the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Kenny Omega was an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. John Moxley was a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Pac was the WWE Cruiserweight Champion.
Oh.
It's, you know what I mean? It's perception.
That's my other big issue with it is that Kenny Omega doesn't have the backing of the Bullet Club anymore. So that's problematic because I think the Bullet Club was a major part of his overness.
I agree too.
And without it, and look, but see, it made sense to me on paper. It's like, okay, he's the champ now. Let's turn him babyface. Let's take him out of the Bullet Club. I thought they should have reunited the Golden Lovers. That he didn't officially 100% pull the trigger on that, I think was a mistake.
I agree.
But take him out of the Bullet Club, turning him babyface, reuniting him with the Golden Lovers. I think that was the right move. It's exactly what should have happened. But then they just didn't follow through with it. But now he doesn't have the backing of the Bullet Club, and he's not the best face. I think he works much better as a cocky heel.
And that's what I think that they should do. I think he beats Jericho for the championship eventually as a face, and turns heel with the belt.
Seems a little derivative, no? If he goes, Jericho's the cocky heel champ, and then Kenny beats him, and then becomes the cocky.
And then says, "Oh yeah, Jericho, you may be older, but I can do everything that you do."
No, don't get me wrong.
I can do it better.
It's not that it can't happen, and it's not even the worst thing in the world if it does. I'm just saying it seems a little repetitive if we go down this route,
I mean, yes and no.
But I feel Jericho.
But the other thing is that there's a huge problem with AEW right now because I can name 5 guys I'd give a world title shot to, and that's it. And that's a big deal.
Okay, so Base Up says, let's go to this. Base Up says, when you're debuting a new world title, you need to make sure your first champ checks 3 boxes. 1, most over and recognizable star. 2, he is an active wrestler. And 3, he can go in the ring.
I agree.
Where does this criteria come from? How do we think this is? How do we believe this is fact?
I don't believe it is fact, but I think that sounds right. Why wouldn't you want to give it?
But why? What are we basing this off of? Because let's look again. First TNA champion of all time is
Ken Shamrock.
No.
Yes, it was.
No. TNA, not
NWA TNA.
Yeah.
Then we're not talking about when the company first started.
Okay.
So you want to go back to when the company first started?
No, we'll go to the NWA if you want to.
And,
I think that, but fine.
And if Ken Shamrock would have actually stayed under contract and would have actually done what he was supposed to do,
forget that.
I think that would have been fine.
No, but it's the same exact thing. You go older guy, older established. I wanted to use Kurt Angle, but fine, we'll go with that too. We'll go with either one of them. They did the check marks. He could go.
Thank you, AJ. Exactly. What draws? That's the criteria, and that's what draws. A guy who's over, recognizable, active, and can go.
We've gotten this argument before. You think Jericho's a bigger draw than I do. I'm not saying he isn't, but I never thought he was. I've never been convinced that he's a big draw. I'm not trying to say Kenny Omega's a bigger draw either. That one's a tough.
He's the biggest draw in that company.
I think he was. I don't think he is anymore.
In AEW? Absolutely, he's the biggest draw.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
And
I'm not sure.
And it's what I brought it back to.
Moxley is a good opportunity. They're all to me B+ players in drawing department. Just in drawing department, they're all B+ players. Jericho, I think his last run in WWE hurt his stock a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think they kind of played him as a second fiddle, and they started treating him like the winding down guy who was sundowning.
AJ, that's a really, really good example.
Okay, if you start a company with Cena and Ricochet, who do you put the belt on? You put it on Cena and have Ricochet beat him for the ladder. The fans in your hands. Come on, that's what you say. But again, let's go to TNA. They picked a guy. I don't know how you feel about Ken Shamrock being able to go. I was going to go with Angle because that's someone who checks all boxes. But if you want to use Ken Shamrock, I like Ken Shamrock in the ring.
So do I. I think he was a good wrestler.
So he can go. He was supposed to be a full-time.
Yeah, he absolutely was.
Okay, and he was an established star. So, he checks those 3 boxes too. And how'd they do? Let's go to Kurt Angle again. Same thing. He was older, but he can go. He was a recognizable name and all those things. Same exact thing for Kurt Angle.
But
how did TNA do?
And the failings weren't. But TNA did well when Angle was champion. That's when they were actually doing some of their better business.
Well, how they do with Ken Shamrock? But okay,
well, it's hard to say because that was only on pay-per-view at that point. It's hard to give you hard numbers when you have to pay $10 a week to watch it.
But we keep saying the same thing, or I'm not going to get into the whole. I don't want to. How long?
Yeah.
Next pay-per-view.
BS. I think he's going to be fine.
He's not going to beat Rollins.
I think he is.
If he does, okay. But if he doesn't,
I think he will.
And then WWE do what they always do: not give a champion a storyline. They'll say, "I forget you have the belt. You're done." Why is your reign falling flat then? And then yell at them for not carrying over. Anyway, point is, we look at all the times when a championship title started with a guy who was an established name and it didn't work out. Then there were other companies where it did work out. The point is, it's a 50-50 split. That criteria being a fact or something that you demand is what makes sense and is what you do, that is nonsense.
Then how do you feel about Shane Douglas?
Shane Douglas?
Yeah, being the first ECW champion.
We are acknowledging that Shane Douglas is the first ECW champion. Let's just get this clear, right?
If anybody disagrees with that, you're a moron. I'm sorry. I hate to be. You know what? Fuck it. I love to be the heel on this show. If anybody disagrees with the fact that Shane Douglas was the first ever ECW World Heavyweight Champion, you're a freaking moron.
I'm just making sure we're clear.
I'll be the heel for you, Dave. I'll take the heat.
You know I agree.
I know you do, but I'll take the heat.
I'm just trying to clarify because there are different points of views out there that we have to accommodate towards because not everybody agrees. So yeah, Shane Douglas, much better. Not as established. He had the title, and they did better with it. So you see,
did they do better?
They did fine by me.
They did okay.
They became.
But
but that was my next example. So you have TNA that did a company that did all those check marks there, and then they became what they became. Then you have ECW who did the opposite of that. Well, not the opposite because he was a full-timer, but then you take a guy who wasn't established like Shane Douglas and you give him the belt, and then they became ECW. The point is, saying that you need to have somebody established is an arbitrary case because you can look at every company in all of history, whether they started out with a guy, their first title was on a guy who was established or not, really didn't make any difference. You have some that succeeded, by doing that, and then you have some succeeding without doing that.
Dave.
So it's the same thing like when people say a wrestler needs to go out on his back. Says who? If you're looking at history, historically, there are half the wrestlers did, half the wrestlers didn't. What difference did it make? None whatsoever. You want to say that you need an established guy, that's what makes the number one, that's the first person you give, that's because. Since when? Who says? Why? There's no evidence to support that. It goes 50-50 either way. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. Sometimes you give it to an established guy and it works, sometimes you give it to a non-established guy and it works. It really doesn't make any difference. There's a belief that these are rules that must be obeyed like laws of physics are absolutely incorrect because there's nothing supporting that. I'm not saying Douglas was a draw. That's exactly my point. He was a guy who was not established. He was not a name. He was not a draw at the time. They gave him the title, and ECW went to being the number 3 company. Pretty darn good, and they did it on the back of Shane Douglas. And to this day, people acknowledge Shane Douglas as one of the champions of ECW. The Shane Douglas era was far and away one of the. In fact, it's almost as if he was the franchise or something. That's my point. It doesn't matter if he's established or not.
And
really
I
makes
agree.
No difference.
And I agree. I completely agree with that portion of it. What I do agree is that when they went to pay-per-view, right? Their big first pay-per-view, who wound up with the championship?
Okay.
It was the established star that everybody heard about. And that was the point.
All right, so you're backing me up. If anything, they should have given it to Hangman Page, and then when they had their first big pay-per-view, they give it to Jericho. But if you're going to say that.
This was their first big pay-per-view. It was different. AEW did pay-per-views before they did TV. ECW did TV before they did pay-per-view. But when they needed to put the spike in something, if they wanted to draw you in, they went with the legend. They went with the guy who was established.
No.
And that's what they did with Jericho.
Like you said,
they went with the champion.
Like you said, this is different. This is not their first big pay-per-view.
And no, and I agree.
Double or Nothing is their first big pay-per-view.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
And they're not trying to draw you in. They're trying to draw you in when the TV deal comes in.
And that's fine. But in order to do that, who did you need? You need a guy like Jericho.
So again, like I said, look historically at every company. Some have tried it, some have didn't. And it doesn't matter either way. Any company that has had monikums of success, even if it was for a brief period of time, some gave it to established guys, some gave it to non-established guys, and in the end, there's no baseline criteria to say that it works or it doesn't. If they don't establish. Nobody can't become established if they don't establish them. Well, yes, that's true.
AJ, I tried to use that argument before, but seemingly that's fallen on deaf ears.
What did AJ say? I don't know how you don't understand that Jericho is the established name. I didn't say that he wasn't.
And you want his name in the spotlight because a lot of fans don't know who the other guys are.
But again,
and
what does that matter? I'm pointing out ECW, as a big ECW fan, a lot of people didn't know who Shane Douglas is, and it worked out just fine.
I did. A lot of people did. Shane Douglas was in WCW, was in WWE. People knew who he was.
Okay,
they didn't see him as a world champion.
You know who Kenny Omega is.
Sure.
Don't black and white it and try to turn it
then
around.
that's fine. That's fine. I'm not. Then if that's the case, then yes, they do know who Kenny Omega is.
That's exactly my point.
But by that same point,
Kenny Omega is AEW Shane Douglas.
I didn't get drawn into ECW because Shane Douglas was the world champion. I got drawn into ECW because I saw RVD wrestle and I went, holy crap. What the hell is that?
Well, when they were first getting out, when they first broke off onto their own, they did it off the back of Shane Douglas. And again, even if you didn't join into it, a lot of people did, and it worked out just fine.
But that's a hard question to answer.
I get that he's established, AJ. It's not that I don't. But this belief that you need to give it to the more established guy, I'm asking you, where does it come from? Historically, let's look up and down the list. There is no proof of that because it's worked out all right for people who didn't do that exact plan. And
that's the point that I'm trying to make, AJ.
What?
That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make.
To a degree, Dave, but you want as many people as possible to watch the show. You want a name people know. It's so simple. He's still there.
Sure.
Because we don't give him the belt doesn't mean that people aren't going to do it for Chris Jericho.
The difference is
putting that belt on him doesn't matter. It's like think that's
Dave,
the only way to get people to tune in.
Let me ask you a question. If you're a wrestling fan who hasn't watched a wrestling product in years, or you casually follow WWE, you barely watch wrestling, and you're flipping through the channels, and you see some random guy in the middle of the ring with a world title, and you go, that probably is just some local promotion. I guess they have a world champion. They got a TV deal. Good for them. Skip. But if you see Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring with the championship, it immediately establishes that company as something real because you go, oh crap, Chris Jericho's not, this is wrestling and this is not WWF, and Chris Jericho is the champion?
So we're playing this very specific, we're playing our marketing campaign on this very specific scenario that forget about everybody else who's watching. We're looking for those people who flipped through the channel and we're hoping that they happen to flip through while Chris Jericho is holding the title because he's going to hold that title the entire show because we need that guy flipping the channel. That's not the way the show works.
It's not.
And if that's the case, the odds of them stopping on the channel while Chris Jericho's there is the same whether he holds the title or not. It really doesn't matter. And again, I know this is, I'm keep going to this well because it is your, I know you love this company, but again.
Thank you.
ECW.
And that's fine, but AJ brings up that ECW was in a different time period, Dave. It's different.
I agree. I agree.
They weren't looking at ratings. They weren't looking at television. This is completely a different story.
I absolutely agree. It's a different time period, but you're still looking at trying to market AEW by traditional standpoints, which aren't working.
You're the one who kept saying that ratings are more important than I did when it comes to wrestling.
But they're not.
So then, if you're not gonna have good ratings, if you don't know who the fuck is your world champion,
it's the same thing with WWE and Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. He brought up the same point. He keeps saying, how many times do you say that the ratings keep falling because Brock Lesnar was the world champion?
Right, that's my point. Because you and the people, the WWE marks who defend him, think that it's, oh, he's established, mainstream eyes. That gets people's attention. You think people work like that.
That's bullshit because even I disagreed with the fact that the Brock wasn't around as a full-time wrestler and he shouldn't have been a champ. If Brock Lesnar was there every week, if Brock was there every week, I would be totally fine with Brock Lesnar being champion.
I know you would, and that's my issue with it.
Why not? What's the only bad thing about Brock was that he wasn't there. When he was there, when he's there, you get Heyman promos, you get Brock throwing people around and beating the crap out of people, and it's fun to watch. Name me a match that Brock was in that was boring. They're never boring.
All Goldberg matches ever with Brock.
Fine. I take that back. Outside of a guy who couldn't wrestle his way out of a fucking paper bag.
Oh, now we're admitting it.
Yes, no, Goldberg sucks. I never said he was good.
No, but now we're just full on admitting it.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. No, it's problem with Brock is the same thing. I'm attacking Brock from the mainstream eyes point of view. You guys think that the guy holding onto your title, if he's some household name or the closer he is to being a household name, is the better you'll do for ratings. That's what you think brings in ratings. I agree ratings are important, but I've been saying this from day one. Just because your average Joe Schmo heard this guy's name, you don't give him the belt, okay? That doesn't mean anything. That is not how you get ratings. It hasn't been, it's never been. Statistically, it doesn't prove that.
That's completely preposterous. Okay. And look, you want to say that? That's fine. But you're the one who always denies that mainstream stuff never drew in WWE. Meanwhile, wrestling, the WWE turned around after Tyson was on there. And you can sit there and you can show numbers. You can show numbers all you want. But Dave, it's not just me. It's Jim Cornette admits that that's the case. Bruce Pritchard admits that that's the case.
So they're never wrong.
People who are inside the business admit that Eric Bischoff said he knew he was screwed when Mike Tyson showed up on Raw.
Can you name someone? I mean, really? You're going with those guys. Again, I do this goofy thing where I use, facts and numbers and stats to prove it. Like, it doesn't, I've talked the same thing about it. It makes no sense. I'm sorry, but the Attitude Era and that WWE's jump out of bankruptcy came from Stone Cold Steve Austin, period.
Yes, and Stone Cold Steve Austin got over because he was on ESPN pushing Mike Tyson.
Again, it makes sense.
That was definitely part of it because I keep bringing this up. Nobody can... Please ask a wrestling fan back in the day during King of the Ring if they knew who the hell Stone Cold was. When the Austin 316 promo came out, it launched him into upper mid-card status.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Tyson had nothing to do with that.
Hold on. It launched him into upper mid-card status. When Stone Cold Steve Austin pushed Mike Tyson on Monday Night Raw, he was a mega star.
No way. He was a mega star before that. He was a mega
To us. To me and you,
as I said,
not to a casual person
makes
who's
zero
sitting there
sense.
going,
It makes
holy
zero
crap,
sense
this is
that
what they're doing?
If Mike Tyson brings in ratings, why did the ratings go higher than when he was there? That makes zero sense.
Because he brought people there, and then other people stayed, and then more people started watching afterwards.
Then it's not Mike Tyson. If more people watch afterwards, those people aren't there for
They-
Mike Tyson.
they got-
That's
they-
impossible
they
by
stay-
math,
they-
by pure fact.
They stayed for the other people that were there. They were entertained by the other
No,
people.
stayed.
But,
No, wait, what'd you say? Stayed? They stayed?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Who stayed?
Casual wrestling fans who saw Mike Tyson
Exactly.
in the wrestling ring.
You can't stay if you weren't there. So if Mike Tyson brought in ratings, 3 million people, and then a month later, 5 million people, those extra 2 million didn't stay. They weren't there in the first place. You can't stay. They weren't there. They didn't stay. They came in not because of Mike Tyson. Just pure math. Just pure math. It's all it takes. It's just common sense.
No, the common sense thing is that...
And I really wanted to complain about Baron Corbin, the King of the Ring, and you made sure you found a dumb enough argument to derail for an hour.
Dumb
Now you're gonna
enough?
do your stupid
Dumb
football
enough?
show.
Dumb enough? Your argument is dumb. This is the first time I've got more support in the chat than you do.
Well, someone brought... It's AJ Envoy.
Not just him. Everybody
think
keeps
so.
saying that Jericho was the best choice to be that champion. Guys, I do have to do my football show.
Harry Flynn's on my side.
Well, Harry Flynn is wrong in this case then. I have to go do my football show. It's MIXLR radio, no, mixlr.com/MESN-radio. Or just go on Facebook Live and see it.
So
And-
AJ, you want to argue pure math.
Yes, AJ, you're 100% right, and please put him in his place. Slam Sessions Network on Facebook. Please watch on YouTube. Please watch my last video. There's going to be more of that to come. It's going to be fun. I got to go.
Yes,
it's been
the
good,
Fappening Zip-
and I'm right.
Yes, the Fappening Zip Lawn, absolutely good storylines matter. Corbin won. Yeah, of course he did. Because the business was hot. Why did the business become hot, Tim Castillo? Wow, Arthur, you really want to jump in on that bandwagon. Of course they're forcing them down our throats. But hey, there are people in the comment section of the last video which defend Corbin. And I knew he was going to be one of those guys, but we didn't even get a chance to get into it. Let me explain. 3 million watched because of Mike Tyson, because of word of mouth of Tyson being on the show. More people came because they were intrigued by the show Tyson was on. Even though they knew full well he wasn't there. AJ Envoy, also, let me ask you this. How old are you? It's because Hogan and the NWO, Dave. Yeah, that was WCW was hot. I get that. What you don't realize, or what you're not putting here. Yeah, I admit wrestling was hot at the time for WCW. For a full year, WCW was hot. WWE on the WWF at the time was not. They were almost on the verge of bankruptcy. So you can't say, oh, Steve Austin just lucked out because the business was hot because of NWO and Hogan and WCW. They were hot, so therefore that equaled WWF success. No, it's not. That's not how that works. It didn't work at all. That's not how it happens. Sorry. You might think so, but you're wrong. Of course, King of the Ring was wasted again. Yes, even though they wasn't there, the show was a big deal. If Tyson showed up, that's what I'm saying. He showed up twice, okay? And the other math justification doesn't work because Tyson showed up in January, minor uptick to it. The ratings fell right back down as soon as he was gone. So while you say they stayed, and again, I've talked about this in a previous episode. So you say he stayed. All right, so January, ratings went up to 2 million, and then as soon as he left, they went back down. Roughly. Maybe the exact numbers are, I don't remember the exact numbers. But so in the January episode, he appeared and the ratings went right back. The ratings went here, they went up a little with Tyson, and then they went right back down. So they're not staying. They're not staying because they know Tyson's not on there. Then the one close to WrestleMania where he appears, they go up, but then they just keep going up. And they keep going up and up and up and up. So if Tyson being there, so there's no consistency because the pattern we see is one time Tyson was there and the ratings just dropped back down. Then the other time they went up beyond what they did ever when he was there. So so you can't say that there's any definable pattern with Tyson here because it's not there. And if you think that, and here's the thing when they really skyrocket, the ratings really skyrocket when Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon's feud begins. That must be because of Tyson. No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. It's because of Tyson. Tyson is the reason why that happened. If you think that, it's ridiculous. You want to just argue for the sake of arguing? Okay, they went back down. Fair enough. So what do you think? So what do you think got the ratings high? Just Austin? The Austin McMahon feud. It was hotter than a pistol, whether you think so or not. It was the story angle that got everything over. It was the Austin Vince McMahon storyline. That feud happened. That feud kicked on after WrestleMania. I know there's some of you who think it happened because of the screw job. You're wrong. That's not when that feud started. The feud started after WrestleMania when Austin won the title. When that feud kicked on, and not the first time he stunned him, I'm talking about the feud. The actual feud between Austin and Vince McMahon happened after Austin won the title. And Vince McMahon went on air and said that Austin is not the kind of guy he wants as a champion. That skyrocketed them right up to the top. That's what did it. I'm sorry. And then, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of help from other stables, Kane and The Undertaker, as well as GX, Mick Foley, The Rock. Of course, all these guys helped, but that was the catalyst. That's what did it in. That's what drew the money was Stone Cold Steve Austin, a not established world champion, being the champion. This was an exciting direction. That's what happened. It's already getting hot, but Tyson moment did work as the extra bit of push, making Austin a megastar. I'm sorry, no, it was the Vince McMahon feud. Tyson was a non-factor. You could just look at the math. It's like, I'm tired of people arguing math. I don't know if you're on my side or not on this one, Arthur, but yeah, it's just pure simple math. Just look at the actual numbers. It makes zero sense to say that Tyson was this ultimate catalyst. Was he a factor? He was an infinitesimal factor. Vince McMahon has this belief that celebrities do a lot for wrestling. They don't. They really don't. And they're usually not worth the price tag that they come with. Yeah, okay, there you go. Fine. All right, AJ, fine. Man, why people want Gable to win? It's not that I want Gable to win. It's not that I want Gable to win. Believe me, and if everybody I could have possibly picked, it's not going to be Gable. It's just I'd rather it be Gable than Baron Corbin. The last episode I gave on the weekend, there are like what we were talking about earlier in the show, people who don't agree, or people who just who don't really watch anything or don't pay attention to anything and they just argue. The Baron Corbin example was it. There are people who saw the video and just started yelling and screaming about why Baron Corbin would win. First, now I don't think he should have won, but the point of the video was 7 reasons why he should not win. If you think there are 7 or more reasons why he should, that's separate. That does not necessarily contradict all 7 of the reasons that I named. If you listen to all 7 of them, you'd understand the point. I didn't say, some people always say, oh, so you wanted Chad Gable to win. I didn't say that. I said I don't want Baron Corbin to win. Now look, don't get me wrong, I would have taken it, but still. All right, AJ Envoy. Dave, what do you think could get the ratings super high in this day and age? I'm sure we can't get Attitude Era numbers. I don't see why not, but I'm talking about big, consistent ratings. They need superstars. They need people who are like the Austin and The Rock and Hogan, that level of superstar. Don't throw me John Cena. That's not true. Don't be ridiculous. He's not on that level. We need those kind of wrestlers. Can we get them? I don't know. But that's what we need. We don't have them. We need storylines that matter. We also need storylines for champions. I've said this in a past video again. Champions don't get storylines. It's the guy has a belt and then that's it. And then they let it flop. We need to see something built. When it came to storylines for champions like Bruno Sammartino, he had the belt for 9 years and no one got tired of it. Or Hulk Hogan, who had it for 3, and then a bunch of other times after that. We had these storylines built up for these wrestlers, and they were important. Who was the champion mattered because we made the championship matter. We don't make the championship matter anymore. And my issue with Chris Jericho being I don't see much of a storyline for him anymore. I don't know where, at his age, in his time period, where we can go for this. It's, okay, great, he has more of the bubbly. And what about it? Are we going to put him that he's this wily veteran master and no one can defeat him? Are we going to say that there's some guy that has a long-standing grudge with him that needs to happen? What are we going to say with him? And I don't see anything. I don't see any foreseeable error there. I don't see anything going on. By beating Kenny Omega, this no longer became an old guy who was desperate or a fight we could have. Now this just became, oh, they're supposed to be even partners. All right, you just killed 50-50 booking. We just killed the momentum on both of them. Awesome. Are we going to have an established feud with Jericho and Cody? I don't see how that would make any sense, but fine. There are less options you have with Jericho, and when you have a lower time frame to tell them because of his age, that's also a problem. Kenny Omega has has bigger direction to go. Yeah, without the Bullet Club, there's a problem, but with the Elite, Okay, we could have internal debates with the elite. We could have them together. We could have them split up. We could have a feud. We could not have a feud. We could tell stories like that. If he had defeated Jericho, there could have been Jericho constantly being a thorn in the side that he's going to take down anyway. He could be on the reverse end of that. There's so many things that we could have done. Dave, just so you know, I love your brother. I did agree with Albert, but this has been a really interesting stream. I'm glad you found it interesting. Could Owens become the Austin ratings winner? I think Owens could be like one of the biggest draws there is. I don't think he could top Austin, but I think if the ship has sailed, they've already ruined his face turn twice now. Ship has sailed on Owens. But yeah, Owens doesn't have a great look, but he is charismatic. He is good on the microphone. He is engaging. He can get that kind of thing. Is he Austin level superstar? No, but he's really good. He might have more charisma than anybody in WWE right now. He's at least pretty high up there. KOF. What is KOF? Doesn't mean anything. It's an afterthought. They don't do it every year anymore. That's fair. The Attitude Era started when Hogan powered out of the camel clutch and dropped the leg on the Iron Sheik. Yes, you're right, Baker Moody. We need a competent competition to push WWE creative to stop being lazy. Well, that's true. At this point, CMLL's Universal Championship Tournament is a bigger King of the Ring. Hey, look, G1, Best of Super Juniors, take them all over to King of the Ring at this point. Yeah, of course. I'm glad, Jesus, and thank you for Patreon support, as well as to Kendall Taylor. And the Super Chat, sorry. Maria said Ricochet is the father. Huh. I hate to burst your bubble, but Kenny Omega, look, I've mentioned it before. I'm not a Kenny Omega. Like, I don't think Kenny Omega is like the greatest thing ever. I'm not trying to say that. I don't even really like his matches with I didn't like his matches with Jericho, and I didn't like his matches with Okada. I'm saying, though, for the particular demographic in the particular field that they're in, Kenny Omega is the guy. AEW's built-in fan base want Kenny Omega. They like Kenny Omega. They appreciate Kenny Omega. Yes, they like Jericho, too. But Kenny Omega is young enough, he's viable enough, and he's got those glowing bajillion star ratings from Dave Meltzer. And even if they don't mean anything to you, AEW's fan base, a lot of them, it means a lot to them. And the reason I keep saying you can't judge AEW's marketing based off of traditional marketing. It doesn't work. And the reason is, by traditional marketing standards, All In, I know, not an AEW show, but All In shouldn't have worked. It started because people like Meltzer were said there's no chance they could sell out a 10,000 seat arena without in America. Impossible. No one thought it could happen, but it did. We are seeing for the first time in a very long time, if not ever, that there is a reflex, there is a pushback to the traditional things that we've been seeing in WWE. Traditional WWE, traditional wrestling marketing, traditional everything for wrestling. There is a counterculture happening. It's happening. How big can it get? Who knows? But whether you like it or not, it's big enough that you can make money off of it. You can sustain with it. And that's what AEW represents. It's not for everybody. It may not even be for most people. It may not be for the extreme, but it is enough to make a market. We started noticing this when New Japan, a company that's been around for decades, never was as big in America as it is now. It got bigger because we were paying attention to it, because there was a pushback from a section of wrestling fans who were not happy with what they were seeing, and they did want an alternative. And a New Japan started growing. AEW said, well, what if there was an American company that did the same thing? And that's what they're doing. So my whole point of the matter is there is a demographic that you aim for, and you aim for the group that is growing. You're aiming for this resistance group, this counterculture group. Whether you are part of it or not, that's what you aim for. And then everyone will follow. If you play by traditional methods, if you play by WWE's rules, you're going to fall short. Heyman said it best. Why, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. You cannot compete with WWE on their turf. Don't bother, you will fail. Don't test them, you will lose. That's period the way it is. And it's what the problem is with TNA, and a lot of other groups. If you try to be like WWE while WWE is still there with more establishment than you are, you're going to fall short. Don't try to be WWE. That's why I don't want to establish WWE guy with the belt. Be your own thing, because the only shot you have is by being different. If you're just going to say, hey, WWE are going to be just like you. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. Why would you? Especially with NXT competing right now. Be your own thing, and then we'll see what happens. See Kenny Omega as a main eventer, it makes no sense. Because he main event in New Japan. So, I think he has won, but Kenny is not infallible. I don't think he is either. Not get a casual fan base. I think they have the potential to. At this juncture, no, but they're not aiming for it. Again, don't try to compete with WWE on their level. WWE is great at marketing for kids. Again, I think a lot of us here, or if not all of us, are adults. But WWE has always been good at going to kids. They understand that that's the fan base. That's what they want. They want to be kid-friendly. AEW is not really appealing for kids. It's telling more, complex thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was the same thing like ECW did. ECW didn't appeal to children. They weren't trying to appeal to children. They were aiming at adults. They were aiming at adult wrestling fans. And whatever happened, let the chips fall where they may. And I was too young to be watching ECW, but I did anyway because that was the allure. But the point of the matter is, they're not aiming for that. AEW has a heavy marketing budget. Well, I'm not seeing a lot of good advertising for them. So I don't think they're advertising their shows particularly well. From what I'm seeing, at least, I don't think they're doing a good job with that. I don't see enough hype for AEW's first show, which is happening very shortly, but very little mainstream hype about it. But again, traditional methods may not apply here. Mike Bennett just won a match on Raw. What did Bezos say? You don't think being the Terminator is goofy? And again, you're talking about his character. This has nothing to do with that. AEW people are not looking for character. New Japan, they're not super looking for character, especially when there are some people in there who don't even speak the language. They were just looking for the match tough. I think AEW will draw half venues like WWE, to be honest. Well, they're playing smaller venues, though. You have to remember that. And the projections so far say that AEW is probably going to outdo NXT in live attendance. Because it's more meant to be that way. It's more meant for the people who physically go. And that's another thing. There are different markets. There's a market for people who want to see live wrestling. And AEW is covering that. WWE, yeah, there are people who want to go. Tons of people want to go. But AEW is more of a television product. What we see on WWE TV, it's a much, 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 much more television-ready product. It's more friendly for TV. It's made more for TV than it is for people in live events. If you've ever sat in the cheap seats, you know you are not being catered to. If you're sitting on that side of the Titantron with that big light in your face, you know you exist just to fill out the arena. It's not really meant for you to get the best possible show. WWE is meant for TV. That's why they have the hard cam. That's why they have the best TV stuff. They have the best cameras. They have the best equipment. They have the best cutting. They have the best commentary. AEW, very not so. Commentary, very weak. They have a lot of camera flaws. There's a lot of camera problems they do. AEW is meant for a live crowd. I could even argue that Ring of Honor has a lot to do with a live crowd too. But there are companies that are made for television. There are wrestling companies that are made for TV. Nothing wrong with it one way or the other. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there are some companies that are made for television, some that are made for the live audience. ECW was made for a live audience. That's the way the program was meant to go. Yes, it's not bad on TV. Not making it sound like it's bad for TV. Don't get it twisted. But there are some companies that really placate to their live crowd. AEW plays up for their live crowd way more than WWE does. WWE way better on TV than AEW is, at least as of now. It's not even a contest. But Dave, here's the thing. All the top stars in New Japan all had consistent characters and didn't flip-flop like they had multiple personality disorder like Kenny Omega does. Well, I don't know. Mick Foley kind of pulled it off, so, But if you want to say that's stupid, then fine. Then you just arguing against Mick Foley. Keep him, and again, I'm going to point this out. Don't get swept up in what you personally like or don't like, okay? It's about what draws facts. Let's look at facts. Mike Tyson thing, numbers and math, just pure simple math. Don't support the idea that Mike Tyson was what put WWE back on top in any way, shape, or form. And then I know there are going to be some of you going to bring up Shawn Michaels and say, well, what about you and Shawn Michaels? In case you don't pay attention or you just like getting me riled up, I'll do it for you. I talk about the ratings when Shawn Michaels was champion all the time. So even though now You might be drinking WWE Kool-Aid to believe he's the greatest thing of all time. If you look at the numbers, when he was in his heyday as a champion, the numbers don't reflect that in any way, shape, or form. Again, looking at hard statistics. I'm sorry, you got to look at what reality is and notice that. Well, with the Baron Corbin, okay, I will full on confess to you guys and tell you the truth. You notice that ever since the last anniversary, I have scaled back. I've been trying to lighten my schedule, make my life a little bit easier, not putting out one produced video and just going to live stream again. So I've been doing that since there. I've been trying to avoid doubling up. But the Emmy episode with the Vince McMahon, how can WWE win an Emmy, a goal that WWE is apparently trying for, I put a lot of work in that, a lot of research. I mentioned this on Friday. I put a lot of work into it, and I thought it was going to be like the supply and demand video. I thought you guys were really going to like it. And I'm not saying that you guys didn't, because Know It All Nation, represent, you guys did well, but very low views. So I was like, what am I going to do to offset, and because the pay period for YouTube and like other personal stuff, not, as I kind of alluded to earlier, right now, been a little rough. So I'm like despo, super despo. So I figured, what's going to get me a lot of views? How can I offset the failure of the Emmy episode? How can I fix this? Baron Corbin King of the Ring video coming in hot. It's something I could do easily, and 7 reasons I could have 50 million of them. Here's an easy one throwing it in there. So I'll get this out there. I'll put it out on late Saturday night, Sunday, as soon as I possibly can. I was here all day Saturday. I was in the studio and home working on that video like for hours, and I posted it at like 3 in the morning because that's when I finished it, and I put it out there. And if you like him anyway, again, it's not about who you like or not. If you like Baron Corbin, fine, okay? He's not supposed to win the King of the Ring. I gave a list of reasons why. And yet there were people yelling and screaming, not even paying attention to the reasons in the video, just saying that he should win. And so I've had enough of the WWE apologists, and I also come to a realization there are WWE apologists, and remember, WWE is still, and currently, my favorite wrestling promotion of all time, historically, and today. I still like WWE. I don't like polarized thinking. I don't like partisan thinking. I want to make it clear, but still, I can acknowledge that they can do better. But there are certain people out there, like, who are WWE apologists and defend everything they do and talk about how everything they do is right and they're always smart. Well, let me point things out. Jinder Mahal, okay? They make plenty of mistakes. They run plenty of fool's errands, and if you don't think they do, you're flat out wrong. They make mistakes, huge glaring mistakes, ones that anybody could tell them from a mile away is a bad idea, and you get nowhere by defending him. Jinder Mahal's the best example because there are WWE snobs, WWE marks who drink the WWE Kool-Aid and drink everything that Vince McMahon does and believe everything Vince McMahon tells them that we're back him. Thank you so much, Jesus Ferro. I'm sorry, I wasn't fishing for that, but thank you. Thank you. Jesus Ferro, again, another super chat. So generous, as well as your Patreon support. Thank you. Thank you, Jesus. So when it comes to Vince McMahon, they were defending him, Jinder Mahal, giving him the pilot, saying that it was such a good idea, it was genius, it was a brilliant business move. And as soon as they did that Indian tour, proved how wrong they were. The Jinder Mahal experiment was a colossal failure. It was not worth the risk. I called it from the very beginning that it was a bad idea. As you can see on this channel, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea. And yet, all those WWE apologists shut up as soon as that happened. As soon as it was undeniable that Jinder was a failure, they just shut up, and it had nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, and there's plenty of them. Baron Corbin is one of these WWE pet projects that doesn't work. Okay, if you like him, if you think this is a good idea, whatever. But let's just look at the reasons. Money in the Bank, retiring Kurt Angle, the United States Championship run, Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He's had plenty of these goofy gimmick wins or these big wins, and nothing happens. And if you want to, and I mentioned this in the comment section, if I even want to, even if let's just say hypothetically it's not his fault or not entirely his fault, I will say that yeah, there's booking problems. That booking drops the ball. They don't give him anything to do. Same thing with the championship storylines. This guy wins the championship. Oh, done. Becky Lynch, she won a championship. Okay, let's just put her on cruise control. And then people get bored and nobody understands why. Austin wins the title and then he starts the McMahon feud. It was hotter than a pistol. It's not complicated. Yeah, there are guys that are better on the chase, but if you don't give them a storyline, when they win the belt, then it falls flat. You can't blame that on them. Now, Baron Corbin never has a follow-up. And they're going to do the same thing with this. They might give him the King Corbin gimmick where he wears the crown and acts like a king, and they might think that's enough. That's not a storyline. That's a character. That's a tweak. That's a gimmick. That's a skin change. That's a palette swap. They're not going to give him a storyline. And even if they did, they didn't have to, because with him just in the Universal title picture, we understood he was in the main event. He doesn't need this to get any more over. He didn't need to get over. He was already in the main event scene. This was an opportunity to push somebody else who could have used this push. All right? Corbin didn't need it, and on top of that, they've given him luxury wins before, and nothing ever came about it. Because A, they don't book it right, but B, also because, and now this is another reason, as I mentioned in the video, and I don't want to recap the entire video for it, but I'm pretty sure you guys all saw it, is that the whole thing about the Baron Corbin thing is, he doesn't have good mic skills. And if you think heat is heat, and go away heat is not the same thing as heel heat, then I'm sorry, you're just flat out wrong. You just, if I hate someone and I want to see them get their comeuppance, that's a different story. Like Vince McMahon. Then I'm going to watch. Like Gorgeous George. If there is somebody that I don't like and he makes me turn wrestling off, well, that's bad. So heat's not heat. There's a difference. You are a kind dude. I will never say trying Jinder as a champion was bad. You should. Why they did was a train wreck. But I do think that it was an experiment worth trying. I don't. Jinder Mahal specifically. Like when TNA did with Sanjay Dutt, much rather have been just Sanjay Dutt. But as an experiment, I told you right away it was a bad idea. And the reason why it's a bad idea is because people, and I'm not trying to play the race card in any way, shape, or form, but I just want to point out that WWE thinking that because they want Indian money, let's give it the belt to an Indian. That's what Indian people will do. They will give us money just because we did that. It's extremely racist. It doesn't work. It's not how people think. People don't make decisions based off of their race, at least not a lot or entirely. You don't sit around, regardless of what race you are, white, black, Asian, whatever you are, you don't sit around all day and thinking, what channel do I watch? Oh, it's got to be racially based, or what product shall I buy? Wait, who do I see on the packaging? You don't think like that. Companies think people think like that, but people don't, okay? People don't, and it's like thank you, Richard Lee, and I just can't, hello, Daniel, I just can't point it out enough that people don't think like that. Yeah, maybe some do, but for the most part, people aren't consciously thinking of their race all the time and making their decisions from that. Hello from Germany, Dave. They tried it with JBL, was pretty successful. That is not the same thing as the Jinder Mahal experiment. That's not even close. That's not what we're talking about, like, at all, base up. Was an unexpected thing. They stretched that. Shinsuke Nakamura was supposed to beat him at SummerSlam, but Jinder and Shin botched. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking. Champion was unexpected. Yeah, it was unexpected, but I'm not even talking about that. They never should have given Jinder the belt in the first place. That's what you're doing with Hollywood right now. Yes, I agree. I completely freaking agree with that, AJ Envoy. And I pointed this out in one of the first videos of the comic book channel. It's not going to work. And here's my ultimate proof of this. Again, because I have this goofy thing I like doing that I use facts and proof and numbers. You know, I like facts like an idiot, but here's my number one proof. Let's hypothetically point this out. And again, I pointed this out already on the comic book channel. In the 60s, 70s-ish, or, roughly around that time period, we saw female versions of male characters. She-Hulk, Spider-Woman. We already had a Batwoman. There was Batgirl, Supergirl. We noticed all these female versions of the male characters. About 50 years later, right now, because of that, women are the vast majority of the fan base and the demographics. We see at least a 50-50 split with women reading comic books, buying comic book material, and the fan base is mostly female, right? Oh, wait, no, that's not true. It's not true at all. It's not even kind of true. So trying to do all this identity thing that you think that just by taking your established majority featured characters with majority traits, and then swapping them to have a minority trait is going to get you that sweet, sweet minority money, it don't work. Just look, and I'm not knocking the characters of She-Hulk or Batgirl at all. I really like Barbara Gordon. I think She-Hulk is kind of cool, but I really like a lot of female characters. And I'm not knocking that practice at all. There should be female characters. I have no problem with that. But palette swapping male characters with female roles doesn't make females buy your book. Okay? Same thing with the women's revolution. And I'm not knocking the women's revolution. I like female wrestlers. I like seeing female wrestlers in WWE, and I like that they're doing better. I like what's going on. But notice that when you look into the crowd, a lot of guys, way more guys than females. Even after this evolution has been going on for a while. Then look at the NWA in the 80s. Good chunk of the crowd is women, and not even young women, like middle-aged women. And did they have female wrestling? No. Or very little. Very little. Look at New Japan's crowd. A lot of women in that crowd. New Japan doesn't even have a female division. It doesn't work the way people think it does, or the way big companies do. The companies are very, very misguided in thinking that that's all it is. We just shove something that roughly looks like you, and you will give me your money. That is not how it works. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I cannot stress this enough. I'm not against having female wrestlers. I like a lot of these female wrestlers, and I think this crop is great. I'm just saying, if you think you're doing it because you're going to get female money, you're absolutely wrong, because that's not how it works. I think WWE is keeping the belt on Kofi as long as they have to beat Jinder's record. No, I honestly don't know where you're going with Kofi's run right now. I think Kofi's also getting an extended run because Seth's has fallen flat, and so has Becky's. Ms. Marvel, yeah. Well, the reason why I mentioned Supergirl, like Batgirl, She-Hulk, Spider-Woman, is because they are female versions of male characters. Ms. Marvel, she's Captain Marvel now, but originally she was just her own thing. Yeah, she was a female, like a girl power character, but I'm just trying to point that out. Yeah, but even if something is mediocre, we will push it as something revolutionary and amazing. Okay. I don't understand. Okay, Dave, I can actually debate that. I see a lot with black people. A lot of us tend to side with products. Very good. By black people or featuring black people extensively in it. Yes, you know what? That's a very good point. And you know why? And I said this again in the same comic book video. This would be a lot easier if you guys saw the comic book video. I talked about in that video that we need more creators, more people behind the scenes. That's what matters. Black Panther had a black director. That really did well. That did more for them than, I don't know. Michael B. Jordan being in a movie with a black director did much better than him being Human Torch. As minorities who are speaking, the problem I find with it, that again, this would be so much easier if you just saw that video, but the whole point of the matter is, if you're trying to tell a story from a different lens, it's a lot easier if you just are that different lens. And I'm not trying to say that you can only make stories for what you are. That's not what I'm saying. But the experience. Brandy Rhodes said it absolutely best because she is, amazing in every possible way. But Brandy Rhodes, I'm going to summarize an interview that that Cody gave, paraphrase as much as I can, where Cody was talking to Brandy and said, Cody told the story about how he was talking to Brandy, and he said that he doesn't see color. Then Brandy said, because they're in a biracial relationship, different races. They're different races, and so he said to his wife that he doesn't see race, and then she responded, "Then you don't know my experience." And she's right. She's 100% right. It's flat. It's very commendable, like that you're trying to look beyond racial barriers, or you're just trying to ignore them. Good, but unfortunately, fortunately, you have to acknowledge that there is a difference. Because you're never going to know the other person's struggle. You're never going to know what it's like to be in their shoes. You're never going to know them unless you at least have to acknowledge that there is a difference here. That doesn't mean you treat people poorly because of that difference. Just understand that they do have a different experience than you. And that doesn't even have to be with minorities or majorities. It's just in general. Just understand that anyone who is not you has a different experience. And when we understand that about each other, we can relate, sympathize, empathize with each other more. And that's really the goal here. So when you, as the majority, say, I know what you want that's going to give me your money. Here. It kind of looks like you now. Yeah? That doesn't work. But then if you say, hey, you tell a story, you who are a different whatever, tell your story through superheroes or whatever. Just tell your story. Then people will pay attention. That's how it works. Yeah, I get that there is, I get there is some bit of following there, but Human Torch being black did not do anything for that movie. Let's be real here. people like Black Panther because it was a good movie. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, it was a good movie, and it was also talented. Same thing about Wonder Woman. People weren't watching Wonder Woman because she's a woman now, this superhero, and it's a girl. It was because Wonder Woman was a good movie. And the other thing we glaze over, Aquaman, he's like Asian Pacific Islander, whether you want to count him or Asian or not. That movie made, like, blew their doors off. And it's like, and he's not, but, for whatever reason, no one brings up Jason Momoa's race. I don't know why. But yeah, Jason Momoa's in it. Bring it up. And, as far as I'm concerned, I view Pacific Islanders as Asian, but that's just me. But yeah, so blowing the doors down with it. And that happened. And it wasn't because he's a different race. It's not, has anything to do with that. It just, you could make the argument Asian director and maybe a Polynesian, or Middle Pacific Islander star. You could make that argument that maybe that's what it is, but that's not what it is. We weren't watching it because of the race. We were watching because it was a good movie. That's what I think. Hey, Dave, I thought the crowd for last night, Night of Champions, Clash of Champions, was super. Yeah, well, the crowds are terrible now. Really go back to watch pay-per-views or watch like Raws from the Attitude Era or even the beginning of the Ruthless Aggression Era. Listen to how loud they are, like, all the time. Like, after Clash of Champions, me and my friends, we watched 2001 King of the Ring. And we're just watching it, and, Christian versus Kurt Angle, like, in the beginning, the crowd was, like, hot the entire time, even though it's like it was a nothing match. I like both those guys, by the way. No, they can't. Malachi, Miss Marvel was selling well, but then Marvel interrupted her run because of the Secret Wars. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I like to troll you, but honestly, Black Panther was a dumb. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. If you think Black Panther was a bad movie, you're a dumb dumb. I mean, that was an amazing movie. It was poignant, it was relative, and it had something real to say, a real message that was very intelligent and something you never saw in a comic book movie before. If you think I was rubbish, I'm sorry. I don't know what then your brain is on backwards and you're every bit as mentally irregular as I've been saying all along. Or about the fans being quiet earlier in the stream, Dave. It's mind-blowing how quiet crowds are. We need stars to fix it. Yeah. We need storylines. It's hard, like, you can blame people for not being charismatic and say that people need to just be more charismatic. Sure, it helps, but we need storylines for them to be invested in, and that's really what it comes down to. We need people to start caring about that. Having storylines, emotional storylines, is what is the case. And another thing I don't like that I see all the time is that people think entertainment is just heat or getting an emotional reaction. Baron Corbin's great because he pisses people off. That's not a good thing if he changes the channel. And it doesn't go anywhere. And everyone's saying, oh, what do you want? Flippy Ricochet? I have this goofy thing where I don't like, as I said earlier, partisaning anything. I would like to incorporate multifaceted ideas because I know I'm wrong here, but my brain can handle multifaceted ideas and nuance. So if we took Ricochet's athleticism, okay, we took his and then people say, Ricochet can't talk. Oh, Corbin can? If you think Corbin can talk, we got a problem. Because Mushmouth has a very obvious speech impediment. A very obvious one. And if you don't hear it, or if you think that's not a problem, you want to say, yeah, is Ricochet good on the microphone? Absolutely not. Is he better than Corbin? Yeah, because I can understand what he says without him tripping over his own lip. Unlike Baron Corbin. All right, so going on this one, if we took a guy with Ricochet's athleticism and we put him into a match, into a feud, built with a plot, a storyline, a clear narrative, a beginning, middle, and end, with emotionally invested storylines where we understand where the emotions are, where these guys are portraying emotions. And it's almost like we have really good wrestling. But I don't think it was Oscar worthy. I'm not saying it was Oscar worthy either, but the Oscars don't mean. I don't look at the Oscars. I don't think it's supposed to be. I don't think comic movies are supposed to be Oscar worthy in the first place compared to previous superheroes like Dark Knight. Dark Knight, I don't think is as good as everybody says it is. Dark Knight has a lot of plot holes and doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it. Black Panther is definitely better than Superman 79. Have you watched it? I mean, really? I like that movie, but it is way too cheesy and goofy for me. I like it, and I still like it. I own it like multiple times. I've like paid for it on multiple occasions. DVD, digital. I like that movie. Yeah, I'm sorry. Black Panther is definitely better. It's not even close. Dark Knight, I get if you put Dark Knight over Black Panther. Personally, I take Black Panther all day. I'm not the biggest Dark Knight guy. I like it, but I'm not the biggest Dark Knight guy. Logan, I still take it over Logan too. Logan's another one. I'm personally, for me, don't like it as much as a lot of other people do. Yes, Nasty Nate, that is the kind of heat that Corbin gets. Dave needs to start a stable. Oh, man. If Corbin and Triple H and Shawn Michaels formed a stable with like Edge and Goldberg, I think I would really, really want I don't even know what I think I'd quit wrestling forever. I would perma be done with all wrestling. The Oscars, I don't even care. It has nothing to do with the Oscars. The Oscars is this is a group of people, the Academy, and they designated what they feel is the best in film. It's their awards. They'll give it to whoever they want. And I don't like people complaining, saying, well, they're not giving it to the people I want. Well, it's not your award. I will give my award to whoever I feel like, okay? If I came up with the Dave Knows Wrestling Award and I say the winner this year is, whoever, Kevin Owens or Finn Balor or whoever, and say, you pick a lot of WWE guys, you're biased. It's like, which will happen. And I was like, yeah, it's my award. You don't like it? Okay, then don't value my award. I don't care. It's my award. I'll give it to whoever the hell I want. Shut up. Mortal Kombat, and I said, again, I covered this on the comic book channel. Mortal Kombat movies should get Oscars. No, they shouldn't, all right? Yeah, where do they give the Oscars to? Based on real life stories, mostly about World War II. That's what they want to give it to. That's what they want to give it to. And I explain this all the time, that what good is, there is no such thing as objectively good. You cannot make good objective. It is subjective. No matter what you think, there is no such thing as objective good or bad. I covered that on this channel. What good means to you versus what good means to me is different, and both points are just equally as valid because opinions are not facts, they're just opinions. So, if someone's opinion means this deserves an award, okay, great. It doesn't mean any more or less. So they do. Let it go. Big deal. Someone has a different view than you. My oh my, to quote Desiree with song. Never mind. Do you, AJ Envoy, Ready to Rumble was better than Black Panther? Well, that's Arthur's prerogative. Except for Arthur. Well, opinions can't be right or wrong, except for Arthur, because everything Arthur thinks is wrong. Dave, AJ Envoy says, Dave, do you think we've done all the storylines in wrestling, though? What's under the sun? We've done Authority. Heel versus babyface Morgan. Well, they say in film, or they say in literature and in film, there's a saying, an old saying that says there really are only 7 storylines. And I'm not talking about wrestling, just like they say in writing stories. They're just 7 storylines. And they're always just morphed versions of everything is just one of those derivatives. That's an old phrase that some people say. And that's really what it is. Yeah, okay, we've done it before, but there's nothing wrong with just changing up because different things mean different things to you as you see it. It's the same thing with movies. Seeing a movie at a different point in time in your life, even though you've already seen it, can mean something to you depending on when you see it. A popular example is the movie It. When, if you're old enough, there are some people who saw the movie It when it came out on TV when they were a young child. And it scared the living crap out of them because here's a movie about this clown monster eating children. And then they remake it now as these people are adults, and now they're on the adult side of the equation. And yeah, is it scary or whatever? But it's not, it is not the same thing as childhood monster clown under your bed scary. That's a totally different scary. That is a genuine fear that you have when you're a child, when you really believe that that's an option. That is, no movie as an adult you're going to watch is going to scare the crap out of you like how scared you get as a child. At least for me. So it's a different story. I know I'm talking about 2 actually different movies, but it's the same idea. But they mean something different to you as you grow on in your life. So yeah, maybe we have told all of the wrestling stories. In fact, of course we did. But they will mean different depending on the cast of characters you have, the details of the story, the time period in which we live, and the age of the audiences who are watching it. It's like Spider-Man comic books. They go on forever and ever, but have we told a lot of, Spider-Man beats the bad guy and he wins. Yeah, okay, but they mean something different because every comic book is somebody's first comic book. And every time we do one of these storylines, it's going to be some new wrestling fan's first time ever seeing it. Even if it is derivative of a past work, or even if you are highly inspired by a previous wrestling feud and you wanted to do today's version of that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, the Authority storyline has just been done to death, so no, pass on that one. So I'm just saying that it is okay as long as you gussy it up and switch it out because that's how time works. They mean something to you different at different points in your life. It was like 700 pages. Yeah, I'm not trying to get into a dissertation of it. Confession time. I saw it when I was a child, and and it's the TV movie, and it scared the living crap out of me. So I refuse to watch the current It. So I'm not watching this. So I haven't seen it. So I didn't mean it like that. But so I haven't seen this It film or the sequel, or one or two. I haven't seen either. So, and I'm not going to. That movie can kiss my ass. So the point of the matter is, I haven't seen either of those movies, so I'm not watching them. So you could, and I never read the book. I'm not going to read the book either. That's another thing. The book can kiss my ass too. Hey, Rod the Reflex. I know I still got to film it. I've been super swamped and super busy. I haven't forgotten this time, but yeah, I just haven't had the chance. I just been a lot of things going on. But yes, don't worry, I haven't forgot you. But thank you, Raw Reflex, for being here. No, I'm not. See, that's the other thing. I saw that movie as a little kid, and I was not afraid of clowns. I didn't like that clown, but I have no fear of clowns whatsoever. Another strange thing is, like, when I was a baby, apparently there was like somebody got me a clown doll, and I hated it when I was like 1. Like, I screamed my head off when I saw it, and so my parents threw it out, and then I saw the movie It. So based off of that, you think I would like be petrified of clowns, but no. And I mean right after the movie It was over, I saw a clown like at a birthday party or something like that or in the mall, and it didn't bother me. Like, I didn't hate clowns, I hated that clown. And the reason, but here's the thing, I wasn't scared of it because it was a clown per se. The thing that really scared me about that movie is when I was a kid, like, because this was how I was introduced to the idea of suicide, was like at the end, because I never saw the second half of the TV movie either. I only saw the first half, and I had no desire to see the second part. And I think I might have told this story before, but like at the end, when the guy kills himself, it's like, I was like, wait a minute, why'd he do that? And my mother didn't hide it. She just said he was so scared he'd rather kill himself. And I was like, that's an option? There's something that scares you more than being dead? Like, wait, what's scarier than being dead? Hold on. You're so scared of something. You're so scared of it. Death was a better option. Like it blew my mind. And like, I just couldn't understand. Like, I couldn't process that. And it was like, what? You could, like, it was so mind-blowing to me. So it's like, the clown in the mall making the balloon animals, I didn't think for a second I was going to say, yep, death is a better option than hanging out with, Bozo over here. That wasn't the fear. It was the idea that something could scare the crap out of you so badly you would kill yourself. That was the fear. So I was more afraid of the concept of fear and based suicide than anything else. That's what was really what got me. It wasn't the clown aspect. Dave, running WW could be very interesting. First change you would make, Dave, I'd shave off this stupid 3-hour third. This is going to be a subject of an upcoming episode, but yeah. Hey, Dave, the greatest promo in WWE history is Paul Heyman at ECW One Night Stand 2. No, I don't say so. For me, it's either the Austin Coronation speech or it's Pipe Bomb. Paul Heyman, actually, years before that, during the Invasion angle, he delivered a pipe bomb himself. A very underrated pipe bomb, but I actually like that interview a lot too. The original Ronald McDonald was horrifying. I think he was poorly made. He looked like a dumpster fire, but yeah. Anyway, bros, I'm out for a night. All right, I talk you teacher. Yeah, sorry, I've been going all over the place, but yeah. Thanks for being here. Still much. Yeah, Freddy Krueger versus It. It wins because he's like interdimensional, where Freddy like mostly only attacks you in your dream. See, I was never afraid of Freddy. I was never afraid of Jason. Like, when I was a little kid, I watched all the gory horror movies. Like, I didn't like them, I just watched them. But, like, they were all so obviously fake to me. Like, nothing freaked me out. I get more squeamish as I got older. Is Krusty the Clown based off of Bozo the Clown? In a very loose sense, like, the idea of him having a show, sure. But the original concept for Krusty the Clown was he was supposed to be Homer. It was supposed to be Homer's secret job was he was Krusty the Clown. And the joke was supposed to be that Bart hates Homer, but he reveres Krusty. Meanwhile, they're the same guy. It was something they abandoned really early, but that was the original context. So, in a way, yes, Krusty was based off of Bozo. In a way, kind of, but the concept of the idea was really that. Based up in AJ Envoy, Africans are extremely diverse. Yes, that is true. Yeah, like that's the other thing about Africa. It's like, here was the continent of Africa. Here were different peoples or different tribes, different communities within Africa. And then somebody else came up, some map maker, and says, this is a country now. It's like, well, who said that was a country? We said so. And they just drew lines and like, here, that's the country now. And then people just kind of ran with it. Can a hipster gimmick get over Dave? Corey Graves is doing just fine. The greatest promo, in my opinion, is Dusty Rhodes' Hard Times. Yes, but not WWE or WWF. They said WWF. But that's a very good one. So terrified to go to sleep after watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, I saw that as a kid, and it didn't freak me out at all. I was like, this is stupid. Like, the only thing that got me is when the tongue came out of the phone. That freaked me out, because I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. That jumped on me. Kane Dewey was a great promo, too. Hard times, though. Dave, if you could watch wrestling matches slash promos from one wrestler for the rest of your life, who would it be? That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Maybe Kurt Angle? Maybe Kurt Angle. Eddie Guerrero's got a shot, too. And the Dudleys actually have a pretty shown, if I can get Gertner in there. Hey, Dave. Also, when Paul Heyman cut that promo for Survivor Series 2001, Paul Heyman was cheered, but he was a heel and everything. Yeah. Some people think that Africa is a country. Yeah, well, true. But look at a menu. One of those global menus. There's, like, Asia gets treated as a country. It's like, hey, look, Asian chicken salad. It's like, well, what the hell does that mean? Oh, it means there's, like, oranges and sesame seeds sprinkled on it. Africa is a continent. But hey, Kenya, yo. I love horror movies. I actually was scared of Freddy when I was a kid. See, I like Freddy because I thought he was funny. He was just funny, but yeah. But now I just think he's funny. Yeah, I thought he was funny as a kid, and that's kind of the thing that I liked. And I was all day with Freddy over Jason. Are you looking forward to Joker or Rambo? Joker. I've never been a big Rambo guy. Like, the first Rambo was a good movie. It was about something serious. It was about vets, and it was about their treatment here after coming home from the war. And it was like a serious movie. And then it's like, hey, this is the hardships that vets are getting from coming back from Vietnam. And then the second movie was, what if Sylvester Stallone came back and won Vietnam? It was like, and so I just never got into it. New inspiration of the Joker movie, The Man Who it's a Scorsese Robert De Niro movie. I wanted to say The Man Who Laughs, but that is not. That's inspiration for Joker, the comic book character. So, are you asking about that, or are you asking about the movie? The Man Who Laughs is the inspiration for the Joker, the character, in the comic books. You're talking about this new movie. It's an old Scorsese and De Niro movie. Why do people saying it's a country? I don't know. Lita, because she is Lita. Okay. Michael Myers versus Jason Voorhees. Who's more? By the way, I also hate that word. Mike Myers versus Jason. I say Jason is. Hey Dave, can we get a rant shoot promo on indie wrestler? You need to pick, and you're a heel champion. Oh, you want me to do a promo? I haven't done one of those in a while. And this is in the OG. Okay. I'll cut a promo. I'll be a heel champion cutting a promo against somebody, some indie guy. I'm going to get more water. Pick the guy. Conrad Veidt. I don't think that's a serious answer. The novel for Rambo was better. Yeah, and the movie should have kept the original. Yeah, so you get it. Jay Lethal. Two votes for Jay Lethal. That's interesting. Have you seen Crazy Rich Asians? I have not. A lot of people were not expecting the movie to be the success it was because they didn't think Asian Cash would make a big hit. I did not see it, no. It's like a chick flick, isn't it? Jay is technically in any wrestler. I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm just wondering, is that the guy that is that the guy we're looking for? Since Sky O'Tonic brought it up, let's see what he wants. He's the biggest indie guy, in my opinion. It's an oxymoron if you think about it. We're getting a Sasha Banks Seth Rollins Honest promo. Ugh. That is racist asking. And also, which Jay Lethal am I getting? Current Jay Lethal? AOP are cutting a very solid promo in WWE, Dave. What's behind? Oh, the rest of my office, as always. I just wanted something other than that door in the background. That was really my thought process behind it. I done messed it up. Look at that. Okay, so I'm just gonna make that adjustment there. Yeah. So what's the verdict? Going with Jay Lethal, is that what the people want to see? Said never been. I think. Oh man, the student walked by when I did that. Crap. What are your thoughts on Sasha Banks? I think she's okay. In the ring, I'm not super impressed, but I do. But there are matches. There are a lot of good matches that she's been a part of. Whether I don't think she may have been the biggest part of it, but she's still a contributing factor. I like. There are a lot of things that she's done that I like. I don't think she's the number one in the business at all, though. Okay. On paper, Macho Man Jay Lethal should never have worked as well as it technically did. Yeah, see, for me, Black Machismo was a great character, but I think what really, really put him over the top is when he did the Ric Flair impression, because then we learned, oh, it's not that you can just do a Macho Man voice. You're just like extraordinarily gifted with doing impressions. I really, 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 really was tempted to put Jay Lethal on my list for best Michael workers of all time. Bailey, 2 belts. Are they really? Ultimate Warrior, honest promo, great. I'm a little iffy on people who aren't currently alive. Like it's rough. Like it does make it significantly harder. Like Moolah was kind of a tee up because of the controversy, so I'm like, okay, get rid of that. But yeah, Ultimate Warrior is kind of rough. Lethal is a man. Jay Lethal is really good. I like Jay Lethal. I like Jay Lethal a lot myself. Okay, so all right, looks like Jay Lethal. Lethal, you're trying to tell me that you're the man, or all these peons out there in the crowd are telling me that Jay Lethal is the man. What? They think you're macho enough to be the man? Listen, you and all your goofy, silly impressions, you want to sit there and laugh? I remember when Ric Flair slapped you across the face like a little child, and that's all you ever have been to me. That's all you ever have been, and that's all you ever will be to me, Jay Lethal, okay? There's nothing lethal about you. Never has been, never will be. In all of professional wrestling, what you are is the biggest also-ran. Yeah. You have never, ever made a dent in anyone's life other than making them chuckle. And they made them chuckle because the best part of you is when you're pretending to be somebody else. Me? I'm the champion. I'm the champion, and the best part of me is me. The best thing this belt has ever been attached to is my name. The best part of this company is me. So while you may make your living and get your notoriety just from pretending that you're somebody else, if you ever want to step up and be worthy of the big time, you better start pretending to be me. There's your promo. How we like that? Moolah. Degenerate Moolah. Don't you get it? If my options are A, Shawn Michaels, or B, the answer is B. Lethal's a man. Yes, Lethal is a man, by the way. I like Lethal's reign as Ring of Honor champion. Oh, yeah, no. There was a fabulous time period. Hogan, now see, Hogan is the hard part, all right? Like, I've worked on it. I've tried doing Honest Pro on Hogan, because he's, like, easily one of the most, him and Cena are, like, the 2 biggest requests. Surprisingly more than Roman Reigns. But I just can't, thank you, Jesus. On rant promo. Thank you. That's good enough. I guess I'll take it. Ric Flair, Jay Lethal is your target for the rant promo. I just did it right. Okay. So the problem is, like with the CM Punk, I tried. CM Punk and Scott Hall are like the two ones that were like the hardest for me because I really like both of those wrestlers, and they're like Scott Hall. I didn't officially 100% put in my top 10, but he really kind of is my top 10. Like he's really close. He's one of those guys that's kind of in my top 10, kind of not in my top 10. But it's like when I really like the wrestlers and they're like in my top pantheon level, I have a really hard time doing honest promos about them. Even though like I know there's plenty of meat. Like there's plenty of meat on Scott Hall. I couldn't even get a 3-minute honest promo out of Scott Hall because I like him that much. Same thing with CM Punk. The CM Punk one, I'll admit, was a very flat honest promo. I could only do so much with it because I really like him. If I kind of like you, I can get an honest promo out of you. Or if I like you a lot, I can there. But if you're on that upper echelon, if you're in like my top 20, it's almost impossible for me to make a good one on it. You can get an honest promo on Sabu. Possible. Hogan gets too much hate for no reason. I'm not going to bring that horns up, but yeah, I think we should move on. I mean, from even though Moolah is worse, allegedly never proven in a court of law that Moolah had done anything. And in terms of in-ring work, no, I think she's better than Shawn Michaels. Arthur Pryor stupid. The end. Could Sasha win the belt? Yeah, that's possible. I thought there was a good shot she was going to win it beforehand. Match of Mania? Okay, maybe not. Maybe there's a shot of that. I don't think it's likely, but there's maybe. AJ Envoy on his promo. AJ likes big guys. And that's all he cares about. Which is why he endorses Chris Jericho winning the AEW title, because Jericho is now larger than he used to be. Is it Mr. Perfect? Too high on the list. It's going to be virtually impossible for me to rip it though. And I would love it if I was able to. Like, I wanted to do everybody. And if you look at honest promos, most of them are for wrestlers I like. The amount of wrestlers I've done honest promos on, the vast majority of them are wrestlers I like. There are only a few that I don't. But then, like, the top 20, those guys I haven't touched. Those guys, I've only, like, 2 of them have I touched. And I really couldn't even get those done. Base Up Honest Trollo. Honest promo for Base Up. Troll! Whoa, that sounds crazy. You make me sound like Vinnie Mac. You kind of are. Just saying. I know, Vin. AJ, we had this conversation. You know I back you up on it, buddy. Not the Jericho thing, but yeah. But AJ Envoy likes Big Sweaty Man. AJ Envoy likes Big Sweaty Man. See, everyone knows. Dave, you think The Fiend attacked Rollins at Clash of Champions for a title shot, or do you think it was just a random attack? Well, no, he's been alluding that he was going for that Universal title. I really wish he interfered and it was a no contest, because that way we could have protected Braun a little bit. I know their attempt was to make Braun look good in defeat because, he one-counted the curb stomp, but still. No, degenerate, I hate Shawn Michaels' guts. Have you ever seen the Tajiri Waffle House video? I have not, but I think I need to. At first, I just saw Tajiri Waffle because the house went on the other line, but I'm like, what's a Tajiri Waffle? Is it like green syrup? Dave, Moolah's whole offense is hair pull, snapmare, roll up. Well, if her she was better when she was younger. But if all she does is hair pull, well, she could beat Shawn Michaels in real life. It's not funny. It's not funny, Tim Castillo. There are many wrestlers that will always be in your top 20 no matter how many times the list changes for me. Yeah. Oh, I agree with that, Bailey, for sure. GOAT. He's not the GOAT like Hogan or Flair, but yeah, he's doing Tim Castillo. Tim Castillo's a good guy, for the most part. Until that last comment, at least. I believe Minoru Suzuki versus Jushin Thunder Liger is almost official. The one on me would be your highest rated. No, the honest promo on Justina Valentine. That's the one that's going out, man. And it's just going to be trash talk for that trash wearing those garbage bag pants because she's trash. Okay, cool, Ken Yo-Yo. Honest promo on me, Big Blue Attack. Good dude. Just messing with you, Dave, as always. No, I know. Soto, isn't Liger meant to retire soon? He is. Jesus Ferro is like the most like generous person like ever. He's the most like awesome, amazing, generous person. I know Tim Castillo. Trash talk for that trash. Trash for that trash. Yeah, you don't get an honest promo, Arthur. Your girl Justina. I might make one and send it to just you and make it private, or like for the Patreon supporters, you can watch it. I have also thought about like doing a comedy, like I shouldn't ruin it for you guys. Spoiler warning, but I have thought like an honest promo on like Alexa Bliss, and all it is just me staring at like a picture of her for like 3 minutes, and then it just ends, and it's like all it is. Like of course I thought about that too. Like I'll never do it, so I'll tell you now. But there was like a period of time where I wanted to do an honest promo on April Fool's Day for Chris Benoit, and it's going to be like 5 minutes long, and like everyone's going to tune in, and then like on April Fool's Day, and then when you see me, I just come out there and go, nope, not touching this one, and leave, and then it's just a blank white screen for 5 minutes. Like I really thought about doing that, but I was like, I don't want to torture people with that. It's like it would be funny, but I was like, nah, I don't want to do that because it would get tons of hits, but everybody would be angry. Hey, Sushi, you should never feel down about yourself, for sure. I mean, you are by far super generous. As I said, you also let me know about things. You somehow psychically have like this link with me. But on top of that, you're not a heat merchant. Everybody here gets along with you. Everyone knows that you're a major part of the support in keeping this channel going and all the good things that you do. And, I'm sorry, whatever's going on in your personal life, I don't want to diminish those feelings at all because I'm sure there's a reason for it. But just know the good you do, and I guess it's vice versa because your support makes me feel the same way too. It's about knowing that there are people in this world who really, 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 really count on you or really, really see the value in you. And you absolutely do. Your kindness and generosity is by no means overlooked, ever. It's never taken for granted. And I think the other thing that helps is I know, and I've said this before, I know this channel is not for everybody. I know this channel itself is not a mainstream channel. I get it. There's a lot of approaches to professional wrestling or a way of looking at professional wrestling that gets talked about here. A lot, not all the time, but a lot that's unique or, like the goofy stuff like kayfabe science. I know I'm not, or, how to win a WWE win an Emmy. These are subjects that not everybody's talking about. This channel is for a very specific group of people who like this nerdy kind of crap, like this kind of heavy research stuff, and like professional wrestling. And there's not a lot of us out there. And I feel that you're somebody who does appreciate that, as am I. And it's like, hey, I want to make a show like that. And I'm glad that there are people that appreciate that because there's not a lot of people like us, all of us in the Know It All Nation. So, and I'm glad that we're here. And it's also that we found each other. And we need each other, It's the only way we're going to get through a lot of the stuff that wrestling does to us. See, everybody knows that you're an awesome guy. Okay? And so by just showing the support, just showing everything, just being out here, just talking, everybody getting to know you. I mean, let's also put it this way. Nobody's ever been mad at you, ever in this chat. People get mad at everybody. People get mad at me. People get mad at Albert. People get mad at Albert. Arthur Pryor, well, I don't even know if anyone's not been mad at Arthur Pryor. But we get, a lot of things. You're always a big part of it. Everyone knows who you are. Everyone understands your comments. Everyone's excited to know about what you have to say, and you never rubbed anybody the wrong way. That is an accomplishment, especially among wrestling fans, because wrestling fans are easy to set off. I am fully guilty of that myself. That's true. It is impossible to hate Jesus Ferro. You are awesome. Dude, thank you, Keith Ricker. I appreciate that too. And and I know you guys do too. And I know you guys do. As I said, we're all part of this Know It All Nation. You guys are all here. And I know that you're here because we're all like-minded individuals. As I said, I look at professional wrestling in a very specific way. And yeah, I do share a lot of opinions with a lot of people, but there are also a specific way I like to watch wrestling. And I know it's a weird thing, but it's okay. Because the whole point of YouTube is I'm throwing it out there, I'm expressing it, I'm making a kind of wrestling show I would like to watch, and doing research about goofy, dumb crap that, like who did the research in tightrope walking for the Undertaker video? I thought it was fairly obvious, but yet somehow, as far as I know, nobody else has did it. So I said, let's do it. Another $10 super chat. Hey, Sus, you are far too generous. I cannot believe it. Thank you. A third super chat today. Thank you. Feel better about yourself, dude. Everybody definitely want you to be happy about yourself. No reason for you to feel down. And if you want to talk about it or anything, I know you have, you can contact me. You know you could contact me. So if there's any specific thing you want to talk about or anything like that, hey, by far, hit me up. Check it out. And we'll talk. Let me know. And if you haven't, and I hope you saw that Patreon exclusive Cheaper Pop Culture. I hope you did. I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. If you didn't get that email, let me know because I'll make that happen. No, degenerate, you're overrated. Yeah, base up, yeah. The best troll here is probably base up. The biggest troll is Arthur. Arthur, you're the biggest. You're not the best. Base up is the best because he legit will get me, and I don't even realize I've fallen for it. Arthur, I know that you are either the dumbest person to exist or you have to be trolling because no one could be that stupid. Double A for effort. He tries the hardest, but he's like the worst at it. No, dude, no, same thing. The fact that you like helping somebody out is huge. There's not a lot of people who like helping others, and that's so awesome. It's like the world would be a better place. And in all seriousness, the world would be a better place if more people cared about helping out each other. Like it would be, and that's really what is season 3 finale of Community. Jeff Winger's speech. That's what it's about. Helping each other out. It's so obviously the truth. And you do that, you make the world better for one person, and you just change the game because you're not looking out for yourself. That generosity is not something to overlook. Thank you, Jesus. Definitely the rock of the chat and the most charismatic. I don't know about that, AJ Envoy. I know you're not double A degenerate. I didn't say you were. Oh, you were talking about Base Up. The Undertaker rope walk video actually made me appreciate the work he put. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. It's one of my favorites. The weird thing is, I make some videos that I'm like, this is awesome, and then it's like there's some that I'm really happy about, and then no one cares. There's some that people do like the Emmy award. The Emmy one was the big one because I really put a lot of effort. I studied a lot of patterns about winning the Emmy. All of it, and I'm not even gonna front. I was kind of inspired / ripped off a Matt Pat video where he talked about a movie to guarantee the Oscar. It was an old video of his, but I said, okay, now mine is definitely not as well researched or as smart as Matt Pat's. Not even gonna pretend like it is, but I was like, oh, okay, I'll do WWE wants an Emmy. I remember Matt Pat did an episode about how to win an Oscar. I'll do that. Yay, me. And then it came out, I was like, oh, no one cares. Or not as many people watched. I know you guys care. You guys are awesome. And then so I was like, oh. But then the supplier demand video, I put a lot of research in that, and I'm like, this is going to do well. I'm pretty sure. And then it went it caught fire. Jesus is awesome, yeah. Pissing me off and trolling are not the same thing. Trolling is you got me, hook, line, and sinker. That's when you get me. Pissing me off is easy to do. That's not, I have a short fuse. I have a very short fuse. Dave, what do you think on my what-if scenario idea of the power struggle 2 years ago with Chris Jericho and Jay White coming back to New Japan, challenging the opposite champions? I think that's very solid, of course. I like that kind of idea, where you take opposing forces and you kind of swap places. Because I also think that's an inevitability in wrestling, which I like. It's like a perfect example of that is like when Macho Man feuded with Hogan, and then the Warrior was there, and then Hogan feuded with the Warrior. Well, then obviously Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior have to feud. It's just the way it is. I still say defended 24/7 title at the Emmys. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Bobo Brazil should be recognized as NWA champion. I don't think that's hot. I think that's accurate. Dave, if you had to name the main event or mid-carders of your stream, who would they be? Oh, it's way hard to do. I think it's just frequency. It's like, there's certain names that we easily identify, and like I know you guys, sure, but I'm reading this. It's like, but I think we know who everybody is. Like, Albert's the Jobber. What if Tyler Black stayed in Ring of Honor? What if? Well, then he'd be a TNA wrestler in about a year. Trolling is telling Days the facts on New York food and how That is an example of trolling. Yes, that is correct. That is a very good example of trolling. The Blantarage are better than the Dudleys. See, Arthur is just dumb. You see, he can't really think that. Hey Dave, worst chair shot. Define worst, like ugliest looking, or the one that was definitely a bad idea. Because the one that's definitely a bad idea is like anything that Benoit's had. Let's just put it that way. I guess by default, that has to be the one. Um, Seth Rollins versus Nakamura for WWE Per Championship. Interesting. If WrestleMania 1 failed, would WWF have gone bankrupt? A lot of people say yes, but I don't necessarily know that that's true. WWE's came really close, and like they always found a way to survive. So part of me thinks that they might have found a way to survive anyway. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being on the chat. I'm going to wrap it up. Long Monday stream. Normally, my Monday streams don't go this long. But I want to thank everyone for being here. Kendall Made Taylor, Taylor Made, Kendall Taylor. I want to say it that way instead. Kendall Taylor, Taylor Made, thank you so much for the super chat. And Jesus, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of the super chats, for your Patreon support, and just in general, just for being here and being a good dude, an all-around good dude. Just, all the super chats aside, just thank you for being a good dude. And hey, there's no reason why you should feel bad about yourself or down on yourself at all. Again, not diminishing those feelings, but just letting you know you are a good person. And if you want to talk or anything like that, hit me up. And I hope you saw that. I hope you got that exclusive video. If you didn't, let me know, because I want to definitely make sure that you got it. But thank you so much for everything. And guys, all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the chat. Some of you, I guess I should say thank you for raising my blood pressure for a couple of hours. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me today. Thank you so much. And as always, Dave knows.